Hey everyone! Tonight we are diving headfirst into one of the most baffling and beautiful mysteries of the ancient world. We're traveling back Threnda Halfordandis to an island in the middle of the Mediterranean, a place covered in thousands of prehistoric skyscrapers, all built by a civilization that left behind, well, not a single word. You are stepping onto Bronze Age Sardinia, and your mission is to figure out how the Nuragic people built 7,000 massive stone towers without a single architectural plan, blueprint, or written instruction. It's a world of pure analog genius, where every calculation lived inside someone's head. Frankly, given that most of us can barely assemble IKEA furniture with the instructions, you probably wouldn't survive this. The sheer competence is terrifying. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And in the comments, I'd love to see where you're listening from. Post your location and your local time. It's always fascinating to see how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You feel the ground under your feet before you see it. It's not soft sand, it's rough, reddish soil packed hard between sharp volcanic rocks. You've just arrived, stepping out of the noise of your own time and into the profound, heavy silence of 1500 BCE. The first thing that hits you isn't the sight, but the smell. The air is thick with it, a dry, aromatic, and totally unfamiliar perfume. You're standing on the coast of Sardinia, an island the ancient Greeks would later call Ichnusa, the footprint, because of its shape. But right now, you don't care about maps. You care about the sun, which is pressing down on you with a dry, insistent heat. You're surrounded by the maquis, the dense chest-thigh shrubland that carpets the island. You brush against a bush with wiry leaves, and the scent explodes. Wild rosemary, thyme, and something powerfully ... savory. It's ilicriso, the eternal flower, which smells exactly like a curry someone left on the stove. It's a classic Bronze Age pranks. Smells like dinner is absolutely not dinner. You push the branches aside, their sticky resin coating your hands, and start to move inland. The path isn't a path, it's a suggestion, a route worn by goats and people who clearly have tougher ankles than you do. The air is alive with the zzz of insects you can't see. And the silence you first noticed wasn't silence at all, just the absence of engines. Now you hear it, the wind whistling over rock, the distant bleating of sheep, the rustle of some small unseen animal darting through the undergrowth. You're already sweating. The local fashion, woven wool tunics, suddenly seems like a terrible, terrible idea. You'd kill for a linen shirt, but you're a few centuries and a few hundred miles too early for that Egyptian import boom. This island is, and has always been, a paradox. It's smack in the middle of the Western Mediterranean, a 24,000 square kilometer stepping stone between Africa, Italy, and Iberia. And yet, it's fiercely itself. Historians still argue whether Bronze Age Sardinia was a remote, isolated backwater where time stood still, or if it was the Bronze Age equivalent of a bustling airport hub, a critical junction for traders swapping copper, tin, and obsidian. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. It's isolated enough to develop its own unique, slightly bizarre culture, but connected enough to be fantastically wealthy. It's the quiet kid in class who, it turns out, owns a mining empire. You keep climbing, your calves burning. The maquis is unforgiving, scratching at your arms. You're heading for higher ground, instinctively seeking a vantage point. The coast is rocky, sheer cliffs dropping into a sea that's an almost violent shade of blue. There are no friendly harbors here, no wide sandy beaches inviting you in. It's a fortress island, designed by nature to be defended. You finally break through the shrubline onto a high plateau. The wind hits you, mercifully cool, and you stop to catch your breath, shielding your eyes against the glare. And that's when you see it. It doesn't look real at first. It looks like a geological feature, a natural outcropping of the granite bedrock, but the curve is too perfect. On the crest of the next hill, maybe a kilometer away, stands a single massive conical tower of stone. It's enormous, rising at least 3 or 4 stories high from the rocky ground, and it's made of gigantic, roughly hewn blocks of dark basalt. It seems to have grown there. It's truncated at the top, like a giant beehive with the point snapped off. There are no windows you can see, just a single, small, dark doorway at the base, looking more like a shadow than an entrance. This is your first nuraghe, the sentinel. It watches the valley below, it watches the coastline, and right now, it feels very much like it's watching you. It's a silent, brooding presence, radiating a sense of immense age and power. You realize this structure was built without mortar, each massive stone resting perfectly on the one below it, held in place by nothing but its own weight and the genius of its placement. The stones are dark, almost purple in the harsh light, and you can see the lichen clinging to them, a neon green against the ancient rock. It's a statement. It says, "We are here. We have been here for a long time, and we are not to be messed with." You stare at it, and a cold realization dawns. You have no idea who we is. You are, at this moment, an illiterate trespasser in a land of silent giants. And this is only one. It stands there, challenging you. The wind on this high plateau is constant, a low rushing moan in your ears that seems to be the island's own voice. You've been staring at that first tower for a full minute, and the sense of being watched hasn't faded. It's built from a different kind of stone than the surrounding granite's dark, volcanic basalt, which means the builders hauled it here from somewhere else. From how far and why that specific rock? Well, that's a question for later. Right now, you're focused on the sheer audacity of it. You reach out and touch the sun-baked rock of the plateau beneath you. It's warm, almost hot, and gritty with lichen. You turn your gaze from the single tower and scan the horizon, trying to get your bearings. And that's when the scale of it hits you, like a slow-motion punch. That first tower wasn't an anomaly. It was a single data point. As your eyes adjust to the contours of the land, you see another one. It's further inland, perched on a strategic hill that overlooks a river valley. It's a slightly different shape, perhaps maybe more squat. Then you see a third way. Off to your left, guarding a pass between two granite mountains, and a fourth, and a fifth. They are everywhere. Some are just dark bumps on the horizon, silhouettes against the blazing Mediterranean sky. Others are clearer, their conical forms unmistakable. They pepper the landscape, dominating every high point, every valley entrance, every single piece of useful land. You've just stumbled into the 7,000 tower problem. That's not a poetic exaggeration. We, in the present, have identified over 7,000 of these structures. This isn't architecture. This is an island-wide obsession. It's a statement of such overwhelming scale that it's hard to process. You'd think after, say, 4,000 towers, the Nuragic Planning Committee would have a meeting. All right, Thornos, I think we've made our point. The coast is secure. The sheep are secure. My arms are tired. Maybe we could try building ... a nice patio. But no. The building went on for centuries. This incredible density is the central fact of Nuragic Sardinia. From this plateau, you can probably see 8 or 9 other towers, which means they can all see you. It's a perfect surveillance state, a pre-literate panopticon made of basalt. A single smoke signal from this tower would be seen by the next, which would repeat it to the next, and within an hour, the entire island would know you were here. You suddenly feel very exposed. Now, historians still argue whether these 7,000 towers were all standing and in use at the same time, creating a landscape that was just unbelievably crowded and paranoid. Or maybe it was more like a Bronze Age used car lot, where they were built and abandoned in phases over 1,000 years. A clan would build a tower, use it for a century, and when a new, richer chief took over, he'd say, "This old thing, it's only got 1 thalos. It's embarrassing. We're building a new one with 3 thaloi and a curtain wall," and the old one would just slowly crumble, becoming a convenient stone quarry for the next guy. The truth is likely a mix, but the sheer number implies a staggering, continuous output of labor and resources for the better part of a millennium, and we are still finding them. That's the quirky part. You'd think 7,000 giant stone towers would be easy to count, but they're not. They've been collapsing for 3,000 years. They've been cannibalized for Roman roads, incorporated into medieval churches, and hidden inside modern farmhouses. A farmer in Sardinia today will be plowing his field and hit a massive stone foundation. He'll call the Superintendenza, the Cultural Heritage Office, and they'll come out, sign and mark Nuraghe, number 7012, on their map. People find them in their backyards. Satellite imagery reveals the telltale circular shadows in fields of wheat. They are a literal, foundational part of the landscape. You look back at that first tower, the Dark Sentinel, It no longer seems like a lonely outpost. It feels like the local representative of a massive island-wide grid of power. This is the problem you're here to solve. It's not how do you build a tower, it's how do you build 7,000 of them? How do you organize the labor? How do you feed the workers? How do you move millions of tons of stone, some blocks weighing as much as an elephant, with nothing but bronze tools and rope? And most importantly, how do you achieve such consistent engineering? Such repeated architectural success when you can't write any of it down? You have no blueprints, no instruction manuals, no Nuragic for dummies. You're standing in the middle of a 24,000 square kilometer construction site, and the builders haven't left a single note, just the buildings, thousands and thousands of them. The air, which smelled of thyme and curry plant, now smells of industry, of sweat, and of a deep, profound, and slightly terrifying mystery. You're standing in the middle of that 24,000 square kilometer construction site, and the builders haven't left a single note. This is it. This is the absolute pounding heart of the mystery. It's not just the 7,000 towers. It's the 7,000 towers built by a civilization that, for all intents and purposes, was completely illiterate. Let's just pause for a second and let that sink in. Think about the other great builders of the Bronze Age. You think of Egypt, you think of the pyramids, the temples at Karnak. The Egyptians built big, no question, but they were also the most obsessive-impulsive note-takers in human history. They wrote everything down. We have their administrative records, their religious texts, their love poems. We have papyri detailing the precise rations of bread and beer given to the workers at Giza. We have inscriptions bragging about military campaigns, and tomb walls covered in spells to ensure a comfortable afterlife. They wrote on stone, they wrote on papyrus, they wrote on pottery shards. You think of Mesopotamia, the Babylonians and Sumerians. They gave us cuneiform. We have their law codes, their epic poetry, their astrological charts, and thousands upon thousands of tiny clay tablets that are just ... receipts. Bureaucracy. Tukultina Norta received 3 goats. Nigubani sold 1 pot of sesame oil. They were building ziggurats, but they were also tracking their inventory. Now, you turn your gaze back to that dark basalt tower, the silent sentinel. You look for the Nuragic equivalent, and there is nothing. Not a single word, no boastful inscription over the doorway, no clay tablet in the foundation, no built by Chief Berries, 1500 BCE. He was a great guy plaque, nothing. This is what defines the Nuragic civilization. They are a proto-historic cultura, formal term for a society that didn't have its own writing system, but was mentioned by other cultures who did. We know they existed, in part, because the Egyptians complained about them. The Nuragic people are almost certainly the Sardinians, one of the groups making up the Sea Peoples. The mysterious maritime raiders who terrorized the eastern Mediterranean and helped bring the Bronze Age to a crashing end. The Egyptians were busy carving meticulous records about these Sardinian invaders, while the Sardinians themselves, back home, were just ... building. Silently, this silence is deafening. It means that every single piece of information required to build one of these towers, let alone 7,000, had to be stored in a human brain. You can't just hand a foreman a blueprint. You can't write a technical manual on the principles of corbelled domes. You can't send a memo to the quarry manager. Need 40 more lintel blocks by Tuesday. See attached scroll. Every calculation, every measurement, every angle, every stress load. It all lived in the mind of the master builder. He, and let's assume it was a he for now, though we have no proof, had to hold the entire 3D model of this complex, multi-story 1,000-ton structure in his memory. And then he had to communicate that model to a workforce of dozens or hundreds of other non-literate people. Not with notes, not with drawings, but with words, with gestures, with demonstrations. This is a level of analog, person-to-person knowledge transfer that is almost impossible for us to imagine. We can barely remember our Wi-Fi passwords. These people were remembering the precise inward curve, or batter, required for a 60-foot stone wall to support its own weight. Now, historians still argue whether this total lack of writing was a deficiency or a choice. Was it that they were just a bit behind the times, isolated on their island? Or was it that their oral traditions and social structures were so powerful, so efficient, that they simply didn't need writing? Maybe they saw it as a pointless, fiddly gimmick. This is a society that thrived for over 1,000 years. became fantastically wealthy from metal trading, and dominated its own landscape, all without a single text. It suggests that our link between literacy and civilization might be more of a suggestion than a rule. Of course, there's always one weird exception. The quirky, debated tidbit is a tiny palm-sized clay tablet called the Tavoletta di Zari. It was found in a Nuragic context and has a handful of ... marks on it. A few scratches that might be an attempt at a script, may be inspired by contact with later Phoenician or Mycenaean traders. But it's so late in their history, so ambiguous, and so utterly alone that it just proves the rule. If this is their one attempt at writing, it's the equivalent of a toddler's scribble compared to the Library of Alexandria. It's nothing. So, the silent architects they built with precision, the stones of the nuraghe, are not just piled up, they are worked. They are often hammered and pecked to fit with incredible tightness, a technique called polygonal masonry. The internal staircases that wind up through the thickness of the walls, they are perfectly integrated, spiraling upwards within the structure. Each step a marvel of engineering. The corbelled domes that form the ceilings of the inner chambers, they are a masterclass in physics, with each layer of stone moving slightly inward, held by gravity and friction alone, creating a stable, self-supporting false dome that can last for 3,500 years. You can't improvise that. You can't just wing it. This isn't a weekend DIY project. This is high-stakes engineering. If you get the angle wrong, the whole 1,000-ton structure collapses, and you're left with a very expensive pile of rubble and a very flat workforce. The only way to do it, to repeat it 7,000 times, is through a rigid, unbroken chain of knowledge. The master builder takes an apprentice. For 5 years, the apprentice just carries rocks. For the next 5, he learns to chisel. For the next 10, he just watches the master. Until, one day, the knowledge is no longer learned. It's known. It's in his hands, his eyes, his bones. This is the civilization you've walked into, a civilization of silent, brilliant specialists. They didn't write their story down. They built it. The 7,000 Towers are their book. And you're standing here on page 1, trying to learn how to read stone. So, you're trying to read this book of stone, standing on a windy plateau. The towers are the what? The 7,000-fold what? The silent building is the how, but you're still missing the who. Who were these people? These silent architects? These shepherd engineers? You've been picturing a faceless workforce, a generic Bronze Age person in a woolly tunic. But now, down in the valley below, you see movement. A flock of sheep, a massive shaggy tide of off-white, is moving along the riverbank, guided by a few figures and the sharp barks of a dog. You decide to get a closer look. You scramble down from the high ground, the smell of thyme and curry plant replaced by something warmer, woolier. As you get closer, you realize these sheep are ... intense, they're mouflon, or a very early, very tough-looking descendant. They have big, curving horns and a look in their eye that says they are not to be trifled with. And the people ... well, they look even tougher. You stay hidden, for now, behind a granite boulder. Let's meet the Nuragic people. The first thing you notice is that they are not tall, but they are solid. They are compact, muscular, built for climbing these unforgiving hills, and for heavy, heavy work. The man guiding the flock has a short, square-cut beard and a conical brimless cap made of wool. He wears a heavy tunic, belted at the waist, and thick-soled leather sandals that look like they could survive a walk over broken glass. He carries a long, gnarled staff that looks less like a shepherd's crook and more like a weapon. He sees you or senses you, and he stops. He doesn't call out, he just watches you, unblinking. These are the people who, as we said, show up in Egyptian records as the Shirt and the Sea Peoples. This is the mainstream historical fact that connects this isolated island to the great empires of the East. Around 1200 BCE, the pharaoh Ramesses II, the guy from the Ten Commandments, carved in stone that he had defeated the rebellious Sardinians, but was so impressed by their ferocity that he immediately hired them as his personal elite bodyguard. You're looking at a culture that was, on the one hand, a bunch of shepherds, and on the other, the most feared maritime raiders and mercenaries of their time. It's like finding out your quiet sheep farming uncle is also a Tiaroni special operator. So, who are they really? They are first and foremost shepherds. This island is perfect for sheep and goats, and not much else. The soil is too thin, the terrain too rocky for the kind of massive industrial-scale grain agriculture you'd see in Egypt or Mesopotamia. So, their entire economy, their entire life, is built on the backs of their flocks. This is a cheese-based economy, a wool-based economy, a roast moutonans bispiashakakliali economy. This pastoral life is what paid for the 7,000 towers. That's the first paradox. How do you get megalithic from cheese? Second, they are warriors. The evidence for this is undeniable, and it's one of the coolest things they left behind. They didn't leave texts, but they did leave thousands of small, stylized, and utterly fascinating bronze figurines, or bronzetti. And what did these bronzetti show? They show warriors. Lots of them. They show men wearing horned helmets, the classic and mostly inaccurate Viking look, which the Nuragic people were actually rocking a full 2,000 years earlier. They carry long, thin swords and small, perfectly round shields. They wear elaborate armor, cuirasses, and greaves. These figurines are their social media posts, their way of saying, "This is us," and their primary profile picture is, "Don't mess with me." Third, they are traders. They weren't isolated, just insular. They were sitting on a geological jackpot. Sardinia is rich in metals, especially copper and lead. And in the Bronze Age, what do you need to make bronze? Copper and tin, which they imported. They were the Bronze Age equivalent of an OPEC nation. They dug mines, smelted ore, and traded ingots all across the Mediterranean. This is the scholarly consensus. The towers weren't just for defense. They were the fortified headquarters of local chieftains who controlled the mines, the pastures, and the trade routes. They were clan-based, tribal, and hyper-competitive. That's why you have 7,000 towers. It's not a single kingdom. It's 7,000 petty kingdoms, each one run by a chief who got rich off the metal trade and spent his wealth building a stone tower bigger than his annoying neighbor S. And this brings us to a wonderful, quirky tidbit. The Bronzetti show more than just warriors. They show us their whole world in miniature. They show women in long pleated robes with wide sweeping cloaks, looking incredibly elegant. They show chieftains, boss figures, with huge decorated staffs. They show wrestlers locked in combat. They show musicians playing double red pipes. They show people making offerings, and they show a mother with a child. A truly tender, domestic scene. But here's the best one. They show a bronzetto of a baboon. A baboon. There are no baboons in Sardinia. This little bronze monkey, found at the bottom of a sacred well, is definitive proof that these so-called isolated shepherds were trading with someone who had been to North Africa, or maybe even Egypt, and had seen a baboon and thought, "That is the weirdest dog I've ever seen. I must cast it in bronze." So, the man in the valley, he's a shepherd, he's a warrior, he's a miner, he's a trader. He's part of a fierce, proud, competitive, and highly organized non-literate society. And this, of course, leads to the open scholarly debate. Were the Nuragic people themselves the Sherden, or was Sherden just a job title? Historians still argue whether entire Nuragic clans would just pack up and go raiding, or if it was more of a summer job for tough, ambitious young men. "I'm going off to Egypt for a few years. Ma, I'm going to fight the Hittites and bring back some gold." We just don't know. But the man is still staring at you. He hasn't moved. He just ... watches. He is the silent architect. He is the man who quarries the stone, the man who hauls the rope, the man who stacks the blocks, and the man who will defend the finished tower with that sword he has probably got under his tunic. He is the who, and he looks like he's just about finished with his break. The shepherd in the valley hasn't blinked. You decide this staring contest is one you're destined to lose. He represents the who, but you're starting to realize you can't understand the who without understanding the where. Why are they like this? Why are they tough, independent, clannish, and obsessed with building stone fortresses? You break eye contact first, turning away from the shepherd and his flock, and scramble back up the slope, back into the cover of the Maki Scrubland. You need to understand the island itself. You're back on the move, pushing through the same sticky curry-scented bushes. You've decided to get higher, to get a real map view of this place. This, you realize, is the primary mode of transportation. Your own two very tired feet. The island is a fortress, and it's a fortress that makes you work. Every step is a calculation. Is that rock stable? Is that bush thorny? Yes. Is that shadow a snake? Probably. You are once again reminded that your soft modern ankles would not last a week here. You find another granite outcrop, this one blessedly flat on top, and pull yourself up. The view is staggering. This is the wild, strategic landscape of Bronze Age Sardinia. You are looking at an island that is, in reality, a miniature continent. It's a geological mess in the best possible way. The mainstream historical fact about Sardinia is that it's two islands fused together. To the east, where you are now, is the ancient Paleozoic spine of the island. Granite, hard gray, unforgiving granite, weathered into fantastic wind-carved shapes called tuffone. This is the Barbagia, the highlands. It's bad for farming, the soil is thin and acidic, but it is perfect for defense, for hiding, and for grazing goats and sheep. It's a natural fortress. Then, to the west, the island is completely different. It's younger, volcanic, basalt, like that tower you saw, alongside plains and rolling hills made of limestone and sandstone. That's where the slightly better farmland is. That's where the great mineral deposits are. The Nuragic people, you realize, weren't just Sardinians. They were people of the granite, or people of the plains. And this right here is the engine of their culture. The Highlanders, with their vast flocks, would have had tents. Complex relationships with the plains dwellers, who controlled the metal mines and the trade ports. This internal division, this geological split, is probably why you have 7,000 towers. It's the perfect setup for endless low-level turf wars between hill clans and valley clans. And the resources. Oh, the resources. This island isn't just a big rock, it's a treasure chest. It's loaded with copper, it's loaded with lead, it's got iron, it's got silver. In an age named after a metal alloy bronze being, the guy who has half the ingredients is a pretty good business model. The Nuragic people weren't just lucky, they were geologically blessed. They were the primary copper suppliers for a huge chunk of the Mediterranean. This wild, scrubby, goat-filled island was, in 1500 BCE, an industrial-scale mining and export operation. And this brings us to the quirky tidbit. Long before the first nuraghe was even a glint in a master builder's eye, this island was already famous. Why? For a rock. A very specific rock. Obsidian. Monte Archi, a massive, dormant volcano on the island, is one of the only places in the entire Mediterranean to find high-quality, jet-black volcanic glass. In the Neolithic, before metal, obsidian was the single sharpest material known to man. It was the high-tech of 10,000 BC. An obsidian blade has an edge that is, at a molecular level, sharper than a modern steel scalpel. Archaeologists have found Sardinian obsidian from Monte Archi in Neolithic sites all over southern France, in Italy, and across North Africa. This means that, for 5,000 years before the towers, Sardinia was not isolated. It was the place you went to get the good stuff. The island has always been on the map. This, of course, plays right into the open scholarly debate. Were the Nuragic people fundamentally a land-based, pastoral society? Agripastoral is the technical term. Or were they a thalassocracy? Historians still argue whether they were insular shepherds who just happened to be on a strategic island, or if they were aggressive maritime traders and raiders who used the island as a base. The answer, as you look out over this landscape, is clearly yes. They were both. They were warrior shepherds who were also pirate miners. They used the land to raise their flocks and feed their families, and they used its position in the sea as a toll booth, a trading hub, and a launch pad. You look down at the coast. The cliffs are sheer. The sea is a dangerous, restless blue. There are no easy harbors. This landscape explains everything. It explains why they are tough. It explains why they are clannish. It explains why they are rich. And it explains why they are paranoid. When you live on a treasure chest in the middle of the world's busiest highway, you don't build beachfront villas. You build 7,000 stone fortresses. The landscape isn't just a setting for their story, it's the co-author. It's the instruction manual. And as you look out, you can see how the towers follow the logic of the land perfectly. One guarding that river mouth, one on the pass, one controlling the high plateau. They didn't just build on the landscape, they built with it. You're standing on that granite outcrop, the wind whipping your hair, and the logic of the landscape seems so clear. They built with it, but this revelation just slams you back into the central problem. How? How do you organize a society to do this? How do you manage the logistics of a mining export empire, a complex system of internal clan alliances, and a 7,000 tower construction boom? without writing a single thing down. You're now diving headfirst into the world without writing. We are so hopelessly dependent on it. You can't remember a shopping list of 5 items without a note. Your phone is a giant glowing prosthetic for your memory. These people, you realize, had no such crutch. And in this world, the human brain isn't a simple processor. It is the only storage device. It's the hard drive, the server, the cloud, and the instruction manual, all in one. So, how does it work? How does a society thrive on this scale? The first thing you have to understand is the power of memory. We've let ours get flabby. Theirs was a finely honed, professional-grade tool. A person's value in this society wouldn't just be how strong they were, but how much they could remember. The elder of the clan wasn't just an old guy. He was the library. He held the genealogies, the family histories, the property lines, which were just the field, down to the big rock, and the legal precedents. A legal dispute wouldn't be settled by looking at a deed. It would be settled by the elders of 2 clans meeting and from memory, reciting the history of that piece of land for the last 300 years. This is the power of a true oral tradition. This is your mainstream historical fact. It's not just telling stories. It's a high-stakes, high-fidelity system for data storage. Many oral societies, like the early Greeks before Homer was written down, used poetry and song as a mnemonic device. The rhythm, the meter, the rhyme, it's not just art, it's a data compression algorithm. It makes vast amounts of information, like the 27,000 lines of the Iliad, easier to memorize verbatim. The Nuragic people must have had their own, not just epics of heroes, but epics of engineering. Songs that encoded the right way to quarry stone. Chants that dictated the precise ratio of a wall's base to its height. The stone must lean by the width of a hand, for the tower in the wind, for an age to stand. How do you make a contract? You can't sign on a dotted line. So, a deal for a marriage, a land use agreement, a trade of 50 sheep for 10 copper ingots is a ritual. It has to be done in public. It involves oaths sworn in front of the entire community, in front of the gods. It's sealed with a feast, a sacrifice, a shared drink. The entire village becomes the notary. The entire clan becomes the written document. Breaking that contract isn't a civil dispute, it's a sacrilege. It's an insult to the gods and to every person who witnessed it. The social pressure to conform is in many ways far more powerful than any piece of paper. This brings us to the quirky tidbit. Those little bronzetti figurines we talked about. You've been thinking of them as art, but in a non-literate society, they are so much more. They are a form of visual communication, a 3D text. They are a way of making an idea permanent. When you cast a warrior with a horned helmet and a round shield in bronze, you are not just making a statue. You are solidifying and communicating the ideal of a warrior. You're creating a permanent shared symbol of this is what we value. This is power. This is our identity. The figurines showing the chief with his staff, the woman with her cloak, the wrestlers. They are the society's Facebook profile, its fashion magazine, and its religious manual, all cast in indestructible metal. And this leads to the open scholarly debate. Was there any writing at all? Archaeologists get very excited about geometric symbols, chevrons, triangles, zigzags, found scratched onto Nuragic pottery. Historians still argue whether these are just decoration, simple potter's marks to show who made the pot, or if they represent a proto-writing system. Is this a symbolic language? Is that zigzag a symbol for water, or clan, or this side up? We just don't know. It's the tantalizing edge of literacy, but it never ever tips over into a full-blown script. So, this is the society. Their thrive comes from this incredibly tight, interwoven social fabric. It's held together by memory, ritual, and a shared visual language. But how does this connect to the towers? It's the key. To build something on an industrial scale in this world, a chief can't just post a help wanted sign. He has to mobilize this entire social structure. He has to call in the obligations, the blood debts, the kinship ties. He has to throw a feast that indebts other clans to him. The construction of the tower isn't just a result of this society. It's the process that holds it together. It's a massive public, generation-long ritual that reinforces the chief's power and the clan's unity. You look back at that dark, silent tower on the hill. It's not just a fort, it's a 1,000-ton, 500-year-old social contract. It's a promise, a threat, a history book, and a bank vault, all made of stone. And now that you understand a little about the people, you have to ask the most basic question of all. Why bother? Why build one of them in the first place? Awaiting continue. So you're standing there, staring at this 1,000-tune social contract, and you have to ask the most basic question. Why bother? Why build one of these things in the first place? What's the primary driver? Forget 7,000 for a second. Let's just focus on tower number 1. What problem does it solve? You decide to finally approach it. You walk out from behind your granite boulder, across the scratchy, herb-scented scrubland, towards that dark, silent sentinel you first saw. The closer you get, the more imposing it becomes. It's not just big, it's heavy. The sheer mass of it is oppressive. You're now standing at the base, craning your neck to look up. The tower isn't perfectly vertical. The walls slope inward, a battered profile, making it look even more stable. Like it's an extension of the hill, a man-made mountain. The stones are basalt, dark and pockmarked, and they are enormous. The blocks at the base are the size of your car, and they are fitted together with a precision that is just baffling. No mortar, just stone on stone with tiny pebbles and chips filling the gaps. You are here to answer why, and the tower answers you immediately. Its first, loudest, and most obvious answer is defense. This is the mainstream historical fact, the theory that everyone agrees on. The nuraghe is a fortress. It is a fortified keep, a dungeon, a stronghold built 2,500 years before the first medieval castle. It's a military masterpiece. You walk around the base, looking for the entrance, and it takes you a minute. The door is tiny. It's a small, rectangular hole, not much taller than you are, and not very wide. It's also, you notice, elevated. The threshold isn't at ground level. It's a good 3 feet up, meaning you have to physically climb up and then crouch to get in. This is not a design for convenience. This is a design for inconvenience. This is a nightmare for bringing in groceries, but it's absolute genius for defense. Think about it. Any attacker has to drop their shield, sling their weapon over their back, and use both hands to hoist themselves up one at a time. While they're balanced precariously, head down, rump in the air, they are a perfect, helpless target for the guy inside with the pointy stick. It's a fatal bottleneck by design. You don't go in, not yet. You look up. Directly above this tiny, inconvenient doorway, there's another opening. A small, square window or niche set into the massive stone lintel that spans the door. This is a classic feature. Archaeologists politely call it a light box or a ritual niche. But in a castle, it has a different, more robust name, a murder hole. It's a place for the defenders, standing in the passageway above the entrance, to drop ... well, anything. Boiling water, heavy rocks, unflattering opinions. It's the second part of a deeply inhospitable welcome mat. You look around again. The tower is on the crest of a hill. From here, you can see for miles. You can see the river valley, the pass through the mountains, and the coastline. No one can approach this tower unseen. A raiding party from the sea spotted your neighbor from the next valley over, the one you suspect has been eyeing your sheep. Spotted, it's a 360-degree all-seeing eye of stone. The walls themselves are almost 15 feet thick at the base. So, this is the theory of territorial control. The nuraghe is the fortified headquarters of a local clan chief. It's his stronghold. It's where the clan's most valuable resource, the surplus food, the grain, the cheese, is stored, safe from raiders and from your other neighbors. In a world without writing, without a central government, without a police force, your only security is what you build yourself. The nuraghe is a stone-cold declaration. It says, this valley is mine. This pasture is mine. The copper mine on that hill is mine. And if you have a problem with that, please, come and knock on my 15-foot thick, 1,000-ton door. This, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. Who was the primary threat? Historians still argue whether the towers were built to defend against external raiders like Mycenaeans or other sea peoples, or if the sheer density of the towers, one every 3 kilometers, proves the main danger was internal. Were these 7,000 towers a unified coastal defense system, or were they 7,000 paranoid, heavily armed neighbors, all pointing spears at each other? The evidence, frankly, points to the latter. It's a landscape of deep, structural, and very well-armed paranoia. And this brings us to the quirky tidbit. Some researchers have ignored the military aspect. and focused on the ritual niche above the door. They've gone inside these towers, something you're still not brave enough to do, and studied the internal tholos, the beehive dome. They claim these domes have very specific, powerful acoustic properties. They are essentially resonance chambers. This slightly fringe theory suggests the towers were designed to amplify sound, that the chief would stand in the center and his voice would boom, godlike, to the assembled clan, or that they were used for shamanic chanting. This casts the murder hole in a new light. Maybe at the winter solstice, the sun shines directly through that tiny opening, illuminating the center of the chamber. Maybe it's not a murder hole, but a solar clock. Or maybe it's both. Why can't it be? It's a fortress, a status symbol, a granary, a bank, and a church. It's the one-stop shop for all clan-based needs. It's the solution to the problem of how to survive. But, that just brings you back. You look at that dark, ominous basalt, and you get it. You need one. One makes perfect sense. But this isn't one. It's 7,000, and that, that doesn't make sense at all. That's not defense. That's madness. No, that's not defense. That's madness. Or, at the very least, it's a logic that has spiraled beautifully out of control. You're standing at the base of this one perfect, logical, defensive tower, but as you look up and shade your eyes, you are staring directly at another tower on the next hill over. And from that hill, you could see this one and 3 more. If you are all allies, part of a unified defense plan, this is incredibly inefficient. Why not just build one massive fortress for the whole region? Why not connect these towers with walls? If you are all enemies, my God, what a miserable, paranoid way to live. You're trapped in a permanent 3,500-year-long standoff where your nearest neighbor, the Joneses, are a kilometer away in their own identical 1,000-ton bunker. And in that, you've just stumbled onto the answer. This is the mainstream historical fact, the dominant theory that explains the 7,000 tower problem. You're not looking at a unified kingdom. You are looking at the 7,000-piece fossil of a fractured, tribal, and hyper-competitive society. This is what happens when you have hundreds, maybe thousands, of petty chieftains, each controlling one valley, one pasture, one copper mine. This is a landscape of rivals. This isn't defense. This is keeping up with the Joneses. In stone, this is conspicuous consumption on a megalithic scale. The nuraghe isn't just a fortress, it's a billboard. It's a status symbol. The primary reason to build one is because your neighbor just did. Imagine the scene. You are a Bronze Age chief. You're powerful. You have the biggest flock. You're descended from a great warrior. You control the sacred well. Life is good. Then, one day, you look across the valley and you see him. Chief Baris, you're smug, annoying, and you suspect goat-thieving neighbor. And Baris, Baris is building. He's marshaled his entire clan. He's called in his cousins, and they are hauling massive basalt blocks up the hill. For a year, you listen to the tap, tap, tap of their stone hammers, and then it's finished. A 40-foot-high, dark, ominous tower that now literally looks down on your village. What do? You can't just not. You can't just keep living in your perfectly nice, complex stone hut. You'd be a laughingstock. You'd lose all your prestige. Your allies would abandon you. Your authority would evaporate. You have no choice. You must build a tower. And it can't just be like Baris's tower. That would be admitting he's your equal. No, your tower has to be 45 feet high, and you're not using that common local granite. Oh no, you're going to spend twice the resources to quarry that really impressive jet-black basalt from the volcano 3 valleys over. It's a Bronze Age architectural arms race. This is how the obsession catches fire. It's a positive feedback loop of social pressure. The tower becomes the physical, permanent, and undeniable proof of a chief's power. And not just his military power, but his social power. In a world without writing, how do you prove you're the boss? You can't flash a bank statement. You can't show them your PhD. You have to do something. You have to mobilize resources. The chief who can throw the biggest feast, roast the most sheep, and tap the most beer is the chief who can indebt his neighbors and call in favors. And what is the ultimate favor? Helping you build your tower. The tower, then, is a 130-ton monument to your influence. It's a physical receipt for all the feasts, all the alliances, all the social capital you have built up. This leads to the quirky tidbit. The ultimate one-upmanship. What happens when every chief has a basic, single-story tower? Well, the Joneses just raised the stakes. This is how we get the complex nuraghe. This is when a chief, drunk on power and prestige, decides his simple, elegant 4-5-foot tower is now entry-level. He needs to upgrade. So, he adds a second tower, right next to the first, then a third. Then, he builds a massive 15-foot curtain wall to connect all of them with more towers built into the wall. This is how you get mind-boggling labyrinthine structures like the Nuraghe Su Nuraxi at Barumani or the Nuraghe Arubu. Arubu isn't a tower, it's a catastrophe. It's a central keep, surrounded by 5 other towers, all wrapped in another 2 layers of walls that have 10 more towers built into them. It's the Bronze Age equivalent of a guy who starts with a tasteful sports car and ends up with a monster truck with 6-foot gold-plated wheels. It's glorious. It's insane. And it is the most human thing in the world. This, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. Was this rivalry real, i.e. warfare, or was it ritual, i.e. prestige? Historians still argue whether these 7,000 towers are the physical evidence of constant, bloody, interclan warfare, or if they were mostly just symbolic peacock feathers made of stone. The little bronzetti figurines show us warriors, after all, not architects. They show men armed to the teeth. The truth is, it's a false distinction. The prestige is the military threat. The billboard tower works because it says, "I am so rich and so powerful and have so many loyal wealthed warriors that I could afford to waste this much time and this much labor on this big useless pile of rocks. Are you sure you want to try and steal my sheep?" So, the 7,000 tower madness has a method. It is the perfect, logical, and deeply human outcome of a society that weaponized architecture as a tool for social status. You look back at the tower, the dark basalt seeming to soak up the sun. It's not just a fort, it's a 1,000-ton boast, it's a party receipt, it's a threat. And as you're absorbing that, you realize it's probably even more than that. What else, besides prestige and defense, could this thing be? It's a threat, it's a party receipt, it's a 1,000-ton boast. But as you're absorbing that, you realize it's probably even more than that. You're still standing at the base, the rough, dark stone warm against your palm. The tower feels like it's challenging you to oversimplify it. Go ahead, it rumbles. Tell me I'm just a fort. You know it's not. The needs of a Bronze Age clan chief, you're realizing, are more complex than just defense and bragging rights. A tower this massive, this central to their lives, this expensive, it has to be multi-purpose. It's not a single function tool. It's the Bronze Age Swiss Army knife. You've already accepted its role as a status symbol. It's the physical manifestation of the chief's power. But what is that power? In this pre-literate, pre-cash economy world, power isn't about gold, though they had it. It's not about a fancy title, though they probably had those too. Power, in its most raw, undeniable form, is the control of food. This is the mainstream historical fact, the great aha moment for many archaeologists. The nuraghe is not just a fort, it is a fortified granary. It is a bank vault, and the currency is calories. You're a shepherd, you're a farmer. You live in a tough, unpredictable Mediterranean climate. Some years the rain is great, the pastures are lush, and the sheep are, for lack of a better word, fat. You have a massive surplus of cheese. The small patches of barley you planted in the lowlands give you a huge harvest. You're rich in stuff. But what about next year? Next year could be a drought. The crops could fail. A plague could sweep through your flock. In a world without insurance or a global market, a single bad year means starvation. The clan starves. Your power evaporates. So, what do you do with the surplus from the good year? You can't just leave it in your hut. It'll rot. Or, more likely, it'll get stolen by your smug, goat-thieving neighbor, Chief Berries. You need a place to keep it. A place that is safe, a place that is dry, a place that is cool, a place that is defendable. You need ... a nuraghe. You look up at that massive 15-foot wall. That's not just to keep spears out. That is a thermal regulator. The sheer mass of the stone creates an incredible, stable microclimate inside. The inner chambers, the tholoi with their high conical ceilings, would be dark and, most importantly, cool. Even on the blazing hot Sardinian summer day you're currently suffering through, The air would circulate, the thick stone keeping the temperature almost constant. It's a perfect passive refrigerator. A 1,000-ton root cellar. So, you're not just looking at a fortress, you're looking at the clan's central food bank. Inside that tiny, inconvenient door, the dark, cool chambers are not filled with warriors. They are filled with wealth. They are stacked high with enormous hard-cured wheels of pecorino cheese, the kind that can last for years. They are filled with massive pottery, jars dolia brimming with barley, with dried beans, with olive oil. There are hams and cured meats hanging from the ceiling, smoking in the upper chambers. This changes everything. The chief isn't just a warrior, he is the distributor. He's the guy who controls the surplus. He's the man who, in the middle of a brutal winter drought, can walk to the tower, unlock the presumably very heavy door, and hand out just enough barley and cheese to keep his clan alive. His power doesn't come from his sword, it comes from his key. This is the source of his prestige. This is why people will spend a generation building a tower for him, because he's not building it for himself, he's building it for them. It's the clan's shared savings account. And it's also, of course, a magnet for trouble, which is why the savings account has 15 Futhic walls and a murder hole. It's the most logical piece of architecture in the world. This brings us to the quirky tidbit, which suddenly seems a lot less quirky. Remember that murder hole above the door? The one we thought could be a solar alignment. If the tower is a granary, that alignment might be the single most important feature. Some nuraghe, like the one at Nuragic, seem to be aligned to the winter solstice. Why would you do that? Because your entire life is agricultural. You need to know when the year has turned. You need to know when the shortest day has passed, when the light is returning. You need to know when to plant. The chief, then, isn't just the food controller, he's the timekeeper. The tower is his clock, his calendar. By knowing the sky, he controls the harvest. By controlling the harvest, he controls the people. It's a pretty good gig. This all bleeds directly into the third and perhaps most debated purpose of the tower. It's a bank, it's a fort, it's a calendar. Is it also ... a church? This is the open scholarly debate. Was the nuraghe sacred space? Historians still argue whether the tower itself was a temple, or if it was the secular stronghold of a chief who also controlled the sacred spaces, which were often separate, like the sacred wells we'll see later. It's a chicken and egg problem of power. Did the chief's power come from his political control of the food, or his religious control of the gods? The bronzetti figurines, which we find in both the towers and the wells, show chieftains, warriors, and priests. This strongly suggests the two roles were one and the same. The chief was the high priest. His tower, then, wasn't just a fort, it was the temple, the rituals for a good harvest, the oaths of loyalty. The blessings of the warriors, they all happened here in the shadow of the stone. Or perhaps, even in the dark, resonant, godlike acoustic chamber of the tholos itself. So, the tower is a symbol of everything. It is a complete, holistic technology for civilization. It's the fort, the bank, the town hall, the cathedral, and the palace, all wrapped into one, perfectly efficient, 1,000-ton stone donut. And now that you get it, you have to know how they did it. Your eyes drift from the top of the tower down the impossibly heavy walls to the bedrock it sits on. Where did they even get these stones? And so you ask that question. Where did they even get these stones? You're standing at the base of this basalt tower, but the hill you're on, the whole plateau, is gray-flicked granite. You reach down and touch the native rock of the hill, the bedrock. It's hard, crystalline, and a completely different color and texture. You look back at the tower wall, the blocks are dark, volcanic, pockmarked basalt. This is a profound, back-breaking revelation. They didn't just use the stone that was lying around. They chose this stone, they quarried it somewhere else, and hauled it here. This wasn't a project of convenience. It was a project of specific, aesthetic, and engineering choice. You can't get this out of your head. You leave the shadow of the tower and start walking, hunting for the source. You don't have to go far. Maybe a kilometer away, over the next rise, you find it. It's not a quarry in the modern sense, a huge, clean pit. It's an entire hillside that looks like it's been peeled. A massive outcropping of the black basalt you've been looking for juts out of the earth, and it is scarred, pockmarked, and littered with debris. You're now standing at the very beginning of the assembly line. This is where the grit, the sweat, and the sheer mind-numbing patience of the Nuragic builders is on full display. You're here to learn how they split megaliths. You look at the quarry face. There are massive rectangular scars where 10-ton blocks were just ... removed. How? You don't have dynamite. You don't have diamond-tipped saws. You don't even have iron tools yet. This is the Bronze Age. Your best, hardest metal tool is a bronze chisel, which is fantastic for intricate woodworking or, fighting, but against a solid basalt face. It would dull and deform in 10 minutes. It's like trying to cut down a redwood with a butter knife. So, they didn't cut the rock, they split it. The mainstream historical fact is that they used the rock to fight itself. You kneel by a half-niched block. The primary tool, you see, isn't metal at all, it's other rock. You see dozens of them lying around, heavy, grapefruit-sized, incredibly hard dolerite, or quartz hammerstones, or mauls. The method is brutal, simple, and takes a horrifyingly long time. A team of Menand, you can picture them, stripped to the waist, muscles locked, sweat and stone dust forming a gray paste on their skin would just ... pound. They would relentlessly peck at the rock, tap, 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 for hours, for days, following a line in the stone. They are not cutting, they are creating a line of weakness, a percussion groove, crushing the rock's structure, molecule by molecule. But this is the slow way. You see evidence of a much more dramatic and frankly more elemental method. This is quarrying with fire and water. You see a section of the rock face that is blackened with soot and the stone is fractured and splintered. Here's the technique. You build a massive raging bonfire right up against the rock face you want to split. You keep it fed for hours until the basalt is superheated, glowing dull red in the center. The workers, their faces shielded from the blast furnace heat, get ready. Then, at the master builder's command, they douse the entire thing with cold water. Tists, the sound would be deafening. A huge plume of steam, and the rock, unable to handle the rapid thermal contraction, cracks. It's a violent, dangerous, and incredibly effective way to create the first major fissures in the mother stone. But the most genius method, the one that feels like magic, is the quirky tidbit, the wooden wedge. You see the evidence for this everywhere. Along a natural fissure in the rock, the workers have pecked a perfectly straight line of small, square holes, about the size of your fist, maybe a foot apart. This is where the real, silent magic happens. They hammer dry, seasoned wooden wedges of wood, or oak, something hardened to these holes. Just tap them in, nice and snug. Then they wait. Or, to speed it up, they pour water over them. And they let the wood do the work. The dry wood, slowly, greedily, absorbs the water, and it swells. The hydraulic pressure this generates is not fast, but it is unstoppable. It's a quiet, immense force, a force of 10,000 pounds per square inch, building up silently inside the stone. And then, with a low, groaning crack, a 10-ton block of basalt, the size of a van, just pops free, clean as a cut. This is how they did it. Not with one technique, but with all three. A symphony of brute force, clever physics, and inhuman patience. This, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. How much shaping did they do here, at the quarry? Historians still argue whether they hauled these giant, lumpy, raw blocks of stone to the building site, or if they dressed them here. Dressing the stone means chipping away all the excess, shaping it into its final near-perfect rectangular or polygonal form before you move it. The argument for dressing at the quarry is simple. Why move weight? You don't need a 10-ton block, might become a 7-ton block once it's shaped. You'd save 30% of the transport effort. The argument against it, it's a huge investment of skilled labor, far from the main construction site. You'd need your master builders and stonemasons working at both the quarry and the tower. You look at a finished, dressed block that, for some reason, was never moved. Its sides are almost smooth, but not smooth. They are covered in thousands of tiny pecked dimples from the stone hammers. You run your hand over it, and you can feel it. The grit. This is the texture of their world. It's a world built not by machines, but by a million patient, practiced human hands. Okay, so you've done it. You've quarried a megalith. It's lying right here. A 10-ton block of perfect dark basalt. It's free. It's ready. Now what? How do you move it? Now what? How do you move it? You're standing in this peeled, scarred hillside, a kilometer away from the construction site, which you can just see on the next hill. It's not just a kilometer away, it's a kilometer uphill. You're looking at your 10-ton block of perfectly dressed, dark basalt, and it is the definition of dead weight. It is the most stationary object you have ever seen. You can't just pick it up. You can't put it in your pocket. You don't have a crane. You don't have a flatbed truck. You have, you realize, three things: wood, rope, and muscle. This is the stone-moving problem, the great logistical hurdle that separates a pile of big rocks from architecture. And the Nuragic solution is, once again, a masterpiece of brute force, patience, and applied physics. The mainstream historical fact is the one you've seen in movies, and it's the one that works: the sledge and roller. You watch the Nuragic moving crew, a team of about 50 men swarm the block. First, they use massive, fire-hardened wooden levers, 20 feet long, too slowly, agonizingly. Lift one side of the block, just an inch at a time, wedging smaller stones underneath. They do this over and over until the block is high enough to slide a massive sledge under it. Think of it as a wooden pallet from hell. Two enormous parallel wooden runners as thick as a tree trunk, connected by crossbeams. The 10-ton block is now resting on this sledge. Then they clear a road. Not a paved road, but a smoothed out, debris-free track in the direction of the tower. They lay down the first of their rollers, a series of cylindrical, freshly cut logs, probably oak or olive, laid parallel on the track. The sledge, with its 10-ton passenger, is then levered forward until its front edge rests on the first 2 or 3 rollers. Now the real work begins. You see the team attach the ropes, and the ropes, they are things of beauty, not flimsy hemp. These are massive fistic hawsers woven from esparto grass, from flax, or maybe even from leather. They are wrapped around the front of the sledge, and 2 long pull lines are run out. 2 teams of 20 men grab the lines, and then ... nothing happens. They pull, they grunt, their muscles bulge, and the stone just sits there. It's laughing at them. This brings us to the quirky tidbit. The secret, non-physical ingredient, rhythm. A single work boss, a man who isn't pulling, stands on a rock. He holds a staff, and he starts to chant. It's a low, rhythmic call. Ho, and the teams breathe. Ha, and they pull, all at once. Ho, H-A-A-A-A. He's not just a foreman, he's a conductor. He is synchronizing 40 men or 40 oxen into a single, massive, 40-man-power engine. Without this rhythmic, simultaneous application of force, they're just 40 guys having a tug-of-war with a mountain. With it, they are a machine. Ha! The sledge lurches. It moves an inch. The sound is horrific. It's a groaning, splintering wooden scream, as the rollers, pressed between the 10-ton sledge and the hard-packed earth, complain. The smell of crushed green wood and hot, sticky pine resin fills the air. The sledge moves a foot, it moves 2 feet. The last roller on the sledge is now free. Immediately, a team of young boys, the roller runners, snatches it up. They sprint to the front of the sledge and lay the log down in the path, just in time for the sledge to roll onto it. This is leapfrogging, a constant, frantic, circulatory system of rollers, moving from back to front, all while the pullers, guided by the chanter, strain in unison. Ho, H-A-A-A-A. This is not fast. This is a single, agonizing, day-long, kilometer-long crawl. This is the definition of unpleasant. You can see why a chief who could command this, who could feed this many workers, who could inspire this much loyalty or fear, was the boss. And this, naturally, is the open, scholarly debate. Was it men or oxen? Historians still argue about the primary engine. Those Bronzetti figurines, the little bronze statues, clearly show the Nuragic people had domestic oxen. They show them yoked, pulling plows. So why not sledges? An ox team has the raw, steady torque that men lack. They can pull all day. The argument for men, however, is that they are smarter. Men can be told to stop, pull harder, angle left. They can react instantly to the chanter's call. You can't tell an ox, "Whoa, whoa, the roller is slipping." Oxen are dumb, raw power. Men are precision. The truth, it was probably both. Oxen for the long, straight, dumb pulls, and then massive teams of men to do the final, tricky, dangerous maneuvering to get the block to the exact spot at the base. You watch exhausted just from the sight as the 10-ton block finally groans to a halt at the construction site. It's here, the kilometer is conquered. But you look at the block, and you look at the tower, whose walls are already 10 feet high. The block is on the ground. The wall is in the air. You've just solved one problem by creating a much, much harder one. You've just solved the horizontal problem. The kilometer-long crawl is over. That 10-ton block of basalt is now sitting at the construction site, surrounded by dozens of other, equally massive blocks. The entire area is a chaotic, noisy, dust-filled factory. You've got the tap-tap-tap of stone hammerstones dressing the final blocks. You've got the hohaya of the chanter directing another pultium, and you've got the low, groaning complaint of wood as a 5-ton lintel is levered into position. You are standing in the middle of pure analog industry, but now you're facing that much harder, much scarier vertical problem. That 10-ton block is on the ground. The tower wall is already 10 feet in the air. How do you get it from here, ... to there? Before you can even figure out the up, you realize you missed the most important step. The first step. You've been so obsessed with the walls, you never looked at the floor. You walk over to the tower itself, this half-ished 10-futhi ring of stone, and you look down. You've been asking where they chose to build, and the answer was a strategic hill. But now, you see the real answer, the engineering answer. You're here to see how they anchored these towers, how they made them part of the landscape. And the mainstream historical fact is that the Nuragic builders were, above all else, masters of the foundation. They did not dig foundations in the soil. Ever they knew soil shifts. Soil settles. Soil gets wet and moves. Soil is for farmers. Building is for bedrock. The first thing this team did, long before the first stone was quarried, was come to this perfect strategic hill and ... dig. They dug away tons of the rich red topsoil. They dug away all the loose, crumbly subsoil. They kept digging until, with a solid thud, their bronze picks and antler rakes hit the real raw skeleton of the island. They hit the granite bedrock. This was their foundation. They didn't build a foundation. They found it. This tower is not sitting on the hill. It is in the hill. It is physically and permanently anchored to the 300-million-year-old granite spine of Sardinia. This is why the towers are still standing 3,500 years later. They cannot shift. They cannot settle. They cannot be undermined. They are, for all intents and purposes, man-made geological features. You look at the first course of stones, the ground floor of the tower. It's not a perfect, neat circle. It's a lumpy, irregular, organic-looking ring, because the bedrock itself wasn't a perfect level platform. It was a lumpy, irregular, natural piece of granite. And the builders, in a move of pure genius, didn't fight that. They used it. They took their massive multi-tone basalt blocks for the first course, and they scribed them to the bedrock. They cut and pecked the bottom of these massive blocks to perfectly match every dip, every rise, every contour of the natural granite. It's the single most difficult and masterful part of the entire build. It's a 3D, 1,000-ton jigsaw puzzle, and the first piece locks directly into the planet itself. This, of course, leads to the quirky tidbit, which is my favorite work-smart, not-hard move in all of ancient history. Sometimes the builders would be clearing the bedrock, and they'd find a giant 50-ton natural boulder of granite right where they wanted to build. A modern architect would sigh, "Well, that's a problem. Call the blasting crew, the Nuragic architect." He'd laugh. "A problem? That's not a problem. That's a wall." They would just build the tower out of it. They'd incorporate the massive natural stone into the circuit of the wall. You can still see this today. You'll walk around in Nuragic and see 50 beautifully dressed, stacked, dark basalt blocks, and then just a giant, raw, natural blob of gray granite making up a 20-foot section of the wall. They just built right off it. It's the ultimate expression of building with the landscape. It blurs the line between nature and artifice until you coup on tell where the island stops and the tower begins. Now, this foundational genius is also the center of a major open scholarly debate. Did they level the bedrock first or not? Historians still argue about this. Did they spend months on that lumpy, uneven bedrock, meticulously chiseling and pecking it until it was a perfectly flat, level platform? This would be an insane amount of pre-work, but it would make the rest of the building process 10 times easier, since every course of stone would be starting from a known level base. Or did they do the much harder, much more show-off method? Leave the bedrock lumpy and make the first course of megaliths do all the work. This would mean that block 1A might be 10 feet tall on one side and 8 feet tall on the other, custom cut, like a massive 10-ton wedge, just so its top surface is perfectly level with the top surface of Block 1B. We just don't know. But either way, it's a terrifying amount of skill. Okay, the foundation is set. The 10-foot thigh walls are rising. Your 10-ton block is waiting. The vertical problem is now. You look around for the solution. You've been picturing levers. You've been picturing ... magic. And the real solution is so much simpler and so much bigger than you imagined. They're building a second hill. Right up against the 10-foot thigh wall of the tower, they are building a ramp, a massive, temporary, sloping siege ramp made of earth, rock, and timber. It's a project within the project. As the tower gets higher, the ramp has to get higher. And as it gets higher, it also has to get longer to maintain a shallow, pullable angle. This is the solution. It's not fast, it's not clever, it is brute. They are going to use the same Huhaya teams to just ... drag the 10-ton block on its sledge, on its rollers, up this dirt hill. This is how they solve the vertical problem, by turning it into another horizontal one. You've just seen them solve the vertical problem by turning it into another horizontal one. That massive, temporary, sloping siege ramp made of earth, rock, and timber is the key. You watch, holding your breath, as the 10-ton block, which took all morning to get from the quarry, makes its final ascent. The pull team, chanting in unison ho, H-A-A-A-A, strains one last time. The sledge groans, the rollers scream, and the block reaches the top of the 10-foot thigh ramp, level with the top of the 10-foot thigh wall, and now the real terror begins. The pullers stop. A different team, the setters, the master masons, takes over. The chanter is replaced by a low, urgent, clipped series of commands from the master builder. This is the most dangerous moment of the entire build. They can't just drop it. They have to use massive wooden lever-stree trunks really to inch the 10-ton block off the ramp and sideways. Over the void, they have to perfectly align it with the blocks already laid. There's a gap of a few inches. A man with a stone hammer pecks at the edge, fine-tuning the fit in situ. Then, with a final sickening groan of wood, the levers are pulled and the block settles. THUD. The sound is not a sound, it's a feeling. It's a low-frequency shockwave you feel in your chest and in the soles of your feet. The block is home. It hasn't moved for 3,500 years. You're watching this, and you realize you've been so obsessed with the walls, with the outside, that you've missed the entire point. Why this shape? Why a giant, circular, 1,000-ton stone donut? What is all this effort for? You decide to find out. You walk back to the tiny, elevated, fatal bottleneck of a doorway, climb up, and duck inside. You step from the blazing, noisy, dust-filled Sardinian day into ... silence and darkness. It takes your eyes a full minute to adjust. The first thing you notice is the temperature. It's cold. It must be 20 degrees cooler in here. The thick 15-foot walls are doing their job, insulating this space from the world. The second thing you notice is the smell. It smells of damp earth, of stone, and of something smoky, like a campfire that went out a week ago. And then your eyes adjust, and you look up, and you get it. You are standing inside the magic. This is the mainstream historical fact. This is the architectural genius of the Nuragic people. You are in a tholos, a corbelled dome. It's not a true dome. A true dome, like the Pantheon in Rome, is made of wedge-shaped stones, voussoirs, that all press against a central keystone. It's a brilliant but complex design that creates a huge lateral outward thrust. You need massive buttressed walls to keep a true dome from exploding itself, from blowing the walls outward. This is something different. It's simpler, more ancient, and in some ways, more magical. The Nuragic builders didn't know about keystones. They knew about stacking. A corbelled dome, or a false dome, is built by laying successive courses of stones, each one protruding inward just a little bit more than the one below it. You're looking up at a perfect inverted cone, a stone beehive, and the rings of stone are getting smaller and smaller as they go up. Here's the physics of it, and it's beautiful. The stones are not just stacked flat. They are tilted, sloping downward and inward. Gravity, the great enemy of the builder, becomes the solution. The weight of the stone above each ring and the weight of the backfill packed behind it in the wall all combines to create a massive compressive force. This force doesn't push the walls out. It pushes the stones together, locking them in place. The entire structure is held up by its own immense, perfectly balanced weight. It's a 360-degree, self-supporting stone arch. It wants to stand. The heavier it is, the stronger it is. It's a man-made cave, an engineered mountain, and it is stable. It is so stable that 7,000 of them are still here. But this brings us to the quirky tidbit, the detail that elevates this from clever to genius. As you're staring up into this dark, conical void, you see a small, rectangular hole high up on the wall to your left. It's an opening. You've been wondering how these towers could be 2 or even 3 stories high. How did they get up? You assumed a wooden ladder. No, the Nuragic builders would never trust something as flimsy as a ladder. The answer, you realize, is in the wall. Built inside that 15-foot-thick donut of stone, there is a staircase. A narrow, spiraling, corbelled stone staircase, winding its way up between the thalos of the inner chamber and the straight, battered face of the outer wall. This is 3D thinking, on a level that is almost impossible to comprehend without blueprints. The master builder had to map this in his head. He had to know that as the thalos chamber was curving inward, and the outer wall was also curving inward, he had to plot a third, spiraling, helical curve between them, all while leaving enough solid stone to bear the load. It's a triple helix of architectural genius. The steps themselves are massive stone blocks, and their inner ends are often left long protruding into the thalos chamber, where they serve as, well, as hooks. For hanging all that cheese, of course. Why this shape? Why the thalos? This is the open scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether this was a purely functional choice or a deeply symbolic one. The functional argument is simple. Sardinia does not have, and never has had, massive forests of 100-foot straight-grained trees. You can't roof a 15-foot-wide room with a single wooden beam. Wood rots. Stone does not. The corbelled dome is the only way to create a large, permanent, fireproof, and intruder-proof room using only stone. It's a problem-solving masterpiece, but the symbolic argument, it's just as compelling. You're standing in this dark, cool, quiet space. It feels like a womb. It feels like a cave. It feels sacred. The beehive shape is one of the most ancient religious symbols in the Mediterranean, often associated with mother goddesses, with birth, and with the afterlife. And then there are the acoustics. You hum just a low note in your chest. The sound doesn't just ... happen. It gets picked up by the stone. It's amplified. It's focused. It's reflected back at you from the concave parabolic surface. Your own voice comes back to you a fraction of a second later, harmonized and sounding huge. You suddenly understand, a chief, standing in here, wouldn't just be speaking. He would be booming. His voice would be the voice of a god, amplified by the very stone of his power. You're standing inside that dark, cool, booming thalos chamber. The acoustics are still ringing in your ears. The sheer, counterintuitive genius of the corbelled dome, the physics of it, the way it uses its own weight to hold itself together, it's perfect. It's a perfect piece of engineering. And that, you realize, is a problem. Perfection doesn't just happen. This is technology. And technology evolves. It doesn't spring from the earth fully formed. The first one of anything is never the good one. The first nuraghe built on this island, Nuraghe number 1, could not possibly have been this 3-story spiral staircased acoustic helitid megalithic masterpiece. This is the iPhone 12. You need to go find the iPhone 1. You need to find the beta test. You back out of the tiny elevated doorway, climbing down into the blinding sunlight. You leave the classic conical beehive tower behind. To find its ancestor, you have to go looking in a different part of the island, and you have to travel further back in time past 1500 BCE, back to the very beginning of the Nuragic age maybe. 1800 BCE, or even 2000 BCE, you're looking for the proto-nuraghe. You find one? It's huddled on a low, rocky plateau, not as show-off as the tall tower, and it's frankly a bit disappointing. It's not a proud, conical tower. It's a low, squat, D-shaped, or maybe kidney bean-shaped hump of stone. It's massive, yes. The stones are huge, but it looks crude. It looks ... primitive. It looks like a giant, half-collapsed stone bunker. This is the mainstream historical fact. You are looking at a nuraghe, a corridor nuraghe. This is the ancestor. This is the Mark I, and the difference is all on the inside. You find the entrance, it's even smaller and more fatal bottleneck than the classic one. You have to get on your hands and knees and crawl. You wriggle into the darkness, the smell of damp stone and bat guano filling your nose. You stand up and immediately bang your head. Because the inside isn't a soaring 30-foot godlike tholos, the inside is a corridor, a single, long, narrow, oppressive hallway about 4 feet wide and maybe 6 feet high. It's roofed with the most basic, brutal technology. Massive, flat, 5-ton stone slabs laid across the top like ceiling tiles. This is post-Handlintel construction, the same thing you see at Stonehenge, just turned into a tunnel. The walls are still 10 feet thick, the stones are still megalithic. But the big idea, the revolutionary space-creating tholos, is completely absent. This is a bunker, a hole in a man-made pile of rocks. This was the proto-nuraghe. It wasn't a palace for a proud chief. It was almost certainly a communal fortified shelter. It's a place for an entire extended family or a small clan to grab their kids, their valuable metal tools, and a side of mutton, and hide while a raiding party thunders past. It's a panic room. It has all the basic genetic ingredients of the later tower. It's built on bedrock. It's megalithic, it's defensive, it has a tiny door, and the walls are impossibly thick. But it's an architectural dead end. Why? You're standing in this cramped, head-banging corridor, and you can see the problem. How do you build a second floor? You can't. You can't put another 1,000 tons of stone on top of these flat lintel slabs. They'd just crack. You can't make the room wider than this, because you can't find a stone slab 20 feet long. To make this mark, bigger. You couldn't build up, you could only build out. You'd just have to add another, separate corridor, creating a very inefficient, ground-floor-only stone mesofa bunker. And this is where the jump happened. The quirky tidbit is that archaeologists have found the in-between models, the Nuragic one, 5 south, they've found corridor nuraghe, that ... try. They have the long, cramped corridor, but at the very end, it opens into a tiny, crude, almost circular room where the builders, for the first time, attempted to corbel the ceiling. You can literally see them figuring it out. You can see the aha moment in stone. You can imagine the builder, wait, if I just ... angle this one, a little ... in, and this one, it holds itself up. Thornos, get in here. You are not going to believe this. That moment, the invention of the tholos, is the spark that lights the entire 7,000 tower fire. It's the breakthrough, because with a tholos, the room isn't supported by a weak, flat lintel. It's supported by its own 360-degree, compressive, stable surmountain base. And what can you build on a stable, 360-degree, 1,000-tone base? Another tholos. You can build up, you can stack one tholos on top of another, you can add a spiral staircase in the 15 feet of wall you just gained by not having a stupid, weak corridor. This is the moment the nuraghe is born. The moment it transforms from a passive, cramped crawl-in shelter to an active, soaring 3-story tower of power. This, of course, raises the big, open, scholarly debate. Did they invent the tholos themselves, or did they steal it? Historians still argue about this. At exactly the same time, the Mycenaean Greeks, 1,000 miles away, were building spectacular tholos tombs like the treasury of Atreus. These are magnificent, soaring, corbelled beehive domes. We know the Nuragic people were trading with the Mycenaeans. We find Mycenaean pottery in Sardinia and Nuragic pottery in Crete. So, did a Nuragic trader on a business trip to Greece see one of these giant tholos tombs and come back with the idea? Guys, they're using them for dead people. But I was thinking, what if we lived in them? Or is this a classic case of convergent evolution? Two separate, smart, non-literate cultures, both facing the same problem. How to roof a big room with only stone. And both arriving at the exact same, brilliant, corbelled solution. The consensus today leans toward the Sardinian homegrown theory, as the use fortress versus tomb, and the construction style integration of stairs, etc., are just so different. But the timing, it's suspicious. You're standing in this dark, cramped Markai corridor. You can feel the weight of the massive stone roof just inches above your head. You can feel the limit of this technology. And you can feel the explosive, creative pressure that is about to blow this design wide open. To send 7,000 towers spiraling up into the Sardinian sky. You're ready. You've seen the Mark 1 now, you're ready to see the Mark X. You're ready to see what happens when the Nuragic keeping up with the Joneses arms race goes ... nuclear. You're crawling out of that cramped, head-banging Mark 1 corridor, the proto-nuraghe. You've seen the beta test. You've also stood inside the booming, perfect Mark II Thalos, the classic single, conical tower. You understand the leap in technology. You understand the why, the defense, the granary, the status, the sacred space. You understand the how, the quarrying, the hauling, the ramps, the bedrock foundations, the magic of the corbelled dome. And you understand the madness, the 7,000 tower, keeping up with the Joneses arms race. You thought you understood, but you haven't seen the finale. You've seen what happens when Chief Bares builds a tower. You've seen what happens when his rival, Chief Thornos, builds a taller tower. Now, you're going to see what happens when Chief Bares' great-great-great-trans, 5 generations later, looks at the old tower and says, "It's not enough. It's quaint. It needs more." You are now approaching the logical, insane, and utterly terrifying conclusion of the Nuragic obsession. You are no longer navigating a tower. You are about to navigate a fortress, a complex, multi-towered labyrinthine catastrophe of stone. You're walking up to the most famous of them all, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the mighty Nuragic di Barumini. This is the mainstream historical fact, the type site for all complex nuraghe, and from a distance, it doesn't even look like a tower. It looks like a hill, a 50-foot-high, sprawling organic mess of stone, a termite mound for megalithic abs giants. It's not one thing, it's a cluster. You approach the outer perimeter. Long before you even get to the main fortress, you hit the antemural, the outer defensive curtain wall. This wall is, by itself, a major piece of engineering. It's 10 feet thick, hundreds of feet in circumference, and it has more towers built into it, small ones, sallyport towers, that guard the 7 different entrances in this outer ring. You've just stepped inside the first layer of the onion, and you're already in a kill zone. Any attacker who breaches this wall is now trapped in the open. 100-foot wide courtyard, completely exposed to the real fortress that looms in the center. And you look up? Oh, you look up. It's not a tower, it is a bastion. At the center of this maelstrom is the original Mark II, the classic, single Tholos tower, built around 1600 BCE. It's the keep, but it's not alone. It's been eaten. At some later date, probably around 1200 BCE, the chief at the time decided to upgrade. He didn't tear the old tower down, he entombed it. He fused 4 new, slightly smaller towers' bastions to its sides, one at each point of the compass. And then, he connected all 4 of these new towers with a massive, 10-foot-thick stone curtain wall. The original, proud single tower is now just the central high point of a single, massive, star-shaped, 5-towered fused stone monster. This is the Bronze Age equivalent of taking your grandfather's lovely Victorian house and encasing it in a 1970s Brutalis concrete bunker. You find the entrance, it's of course tiny, elevated, and dark. You climb up, duck your head, and step inside, and you are lost. This is not the single, elegant, booming Tholos chamber you were in before. This is a labyrinth. You're in a tiny, dark, triangular courtyard inside the fortress itself, open to the sky, but walled in on all sides by the 5 towers. From here, a spiderweb of passages goes ... everywhere. And passages is a generous word. They are tunnels. They are dark, corbelled corridors, about 4 feet wide, sloping up, sloping down. You have to crouch. In some places, you have to crawl. You're trying to find the main tower, the original keep. You duck into a passage. It's pitch black. It smells of dust and stone, and it seems to go ... Up you're in a spiral staircase, but not the grand one you saw before. This one is cramped. The stones are rough. You climb, you turn, you climb, you turn. You come out into another dark corridor. You've just walked over the roof of the southeast bastion. You are now inside the thickness of the 10-foot curtain wall, 20 feet in the air. This entire fortress is a 3D maze. It's not just left or right, it's up, down, through, or around. There is no light. There are no signs. There is no grand hall. This is not a home. It is a machine. It is a machine designed for one purpose, to be a living nightmare for anyone who doesn't have the map in their head. An attacker breaches the outer wall. They're shot at from the main bastion. They breach the inner wall. They're trapped in the courtyard. they duck into a passage, and they are lost. They run down a dark corridor, and it's a dead end. And as they turn around, a Nuragic warrior, who knows this maze like the back of his hand, is waiting for them in the dark with a bronze sword. It's the most terrifying defensive architecture you can possibly imagine. This brings us to the quirky tidbit. After you've been thoroughly terrorized by this defensive maze, you stumble back outside into the sunlight, and you see ... the village, because the fortress didn't stand alone. It was surrounded by a cluster of 50, 100, maybe 200 circular stone huts, the homes of the regular people. But in the middle of these simple huts, you see one that is ... different. It's huge. It's a massive 40-foot wide circular building. You go in and ... it has a stone bench running all the way around the inside wall, like a 360-degree sofa. And in the middle, a complex, star-shaped altar or hearth. This is the Capanna del Riunione, the meeting hut. This is the open scholarly debate. Where was the real power? In the dark, cramped, paranoid fortress, or in this open, communal council chamber? Historians still argue whether the chief ruled by divine right and military threat from his dark tower, or if this was a more democratic, in a very loose, tribal sense society. This hut suggests consensus. It suggests the elders of the clans met. They sat on that bench, they argued, they made deals, they held rituals. The fortress is the fist, but this is the brain. It's the parliament building, the courthouse, and the church, all in one. The tower is the threat, but the meeting is the politics. You stand in the meeting hut, and you look back at the monstrous five-towered labyrinthine Su, nuraghe. You realize it's an evolutionary arms race that has run its course. It has become so big, so complex, so specialized, ... that it's almost unusable for anything but war. It's a glorious, paranoid stone dinosaur. And now you have to wonder, who was the guy who actually designed it? You're standing in that meeting hut, the round stone parliament, looking back at the five-towered labyrinthine stone dinosaur offers. It's glorious, it's insane, and it is impossibly complex. You're looking at Su nuraghe, but it could be Erebu or any of the other complex nuraghe. They are 3D mazes built in multiple phases over centuries by a culture that could not write, and this, finally, forces the real question. Who, not who as in which clan, but who as in which person? Who was the mind behind this? This wasn't built by a committee. A committee can't design a spiral staircase. A committee can't calculate the load-bearing properties of a corbelled vault. A committee, frankly, would still be arguing about the color of the basalt. No, this was a person. You are now hunting for the most elusive, most important, and most silent figure in this entire civilization. You are hunting for the master builder. He or she, but let's be realistic for the Bronze Age. Probably he is the architect. He is the structural engineer, the project manager, the site foreman, and the chief surveyor. And he is 100% illiterate. He is the man who held Su nuraghe in his head. This is the mainstream historical fact, the one we must accept before we can go any further. The blueprint was a brain. The entire 3D multi-tine multi-story plan, with all its interlocking parts, was not stored on a papyrus scroll. It was stored in the memory of a single human being. This is a mind palace on a scale that is almost offensive. We can't remember a 7-digit phone number, and this man was walking around with a perfect one-to-one, full-scale mental model of a 5-towered fortress. He could, in his mind's eye, fly through it. He could zoom in on the junction of the main keep and the new bastion. He could see the way the spiral staircase, which he was adding, had to curve to avoid the tholos of the room below it. And this is the part that just breaks your brain. He had to be thinking in at least 3 dimensions simultaneously. Curve 1, the outer wall. It's not straight up and down. It slopes inward, the battered profile for stability. This is a complex conical curve. Curve 2, the inner tholos. Each chamber is a beehive, a conical corbelled dome, a false arch that is also sloping inward, but at a different angle. Curve 3, the staircase. This is a helix, a spiral climbing between curve 1 and curve 2 in the 10 to 15 foot thickness of the wall itself. The builder had to know, at every single level, how much meat do I have left? If I put a step here, will the wall be too thin? If I start the tholos curve here, will it fail? He's doing trigonometry and calculus, but he doesn't have words for it, let alone numbers. He's doing it all by feel, by experience, by an inherited, unbroken chain of practical knowledge. This brings us to a fascinating, quirky tidbit: the builder's marks. For decades, archaeologists have been hunting for the evidence of the plan, the key. If they didn't have writing, did they have symbols? And on some nuragic blocks, they find them. A simple V shape, a chevron, a two parallel lines, a cross. They are pecked into the stone, usually in a place that would be hidden once the next block was put on top. What are these? Are they the builder's signature? Aithornos carved this block. Are they quarry marks? This block is for the South Bastion. Or, most tantalizingly, are they instructions? Are they a preliterate IKEA instruction? This V block ... connects to the other V block. It's the closest we'll ever get to a written note from the architect. It's a single, ambiguous Stone Age post-it note. This leads directly to the open scholarly debate. How did this one, brilliant mind, communicate this plan to his workforce of 100 also illiterate men? He can't just hand out blueprints. He can't just yell, "Okay, build a tripohelical corbelled stairs face fund polygonal bastion fortress." Historians still argue whether the builder used tools as his language. Did he have a rod, a long marked staff, a nuragic yardstick that held the key units? The door is this 1 rod wide. The base of the tholos is this 4 rods wide. Did he have a knotted rope? A simple tool for laying out perfect circles, the tholos, and checking right angles, the 345 rope trick, which the Egyptians also used. The master builder wasn't just a big picture guy. He was the only guy who could walk up to a 10-ton quarried block, pull out his knotted rope, measure it, and say, "No, it's wrong. The angle is off by a thumb width. Peck it again." He was the only man on the site who knew the future. He was the only one who knew that this block, being laid on the ground floor, had to be this exact shape, because 30 feet above it, a staircase was going to have to pass over it. He was the single point of failure. Imagine the pressure. He has to be on site every day, from the first bedrock clearing to the final capstone. He has to solve, in real time, every problem. "Chief, the block cracked." "Chief, we hit a soft spot in the bedrock." He has to improvise, and he has to know if his improvisation will bring the whole 1,000-ton thing crashing down. He is the living library, the walking computer, and he is getting old. He's been on this one project for 30 years. His knees hurt, he can't climb the ramp anymore. And the entire 1,000-year-old 7,000-tower architectural tradition of his entire civilization ... is locked inside his head. What happens ... when he dies? What happens ... when he dies? The master builder is 60, his knees are shot. He has stone dust in his lungs. He is the living, breathing, walking library of his people's entire architectural tradition, and he is mortal. This is the single greatest vulnerability of a civilization without writing. The library can catch a fever, or fall off a ramp, or just get old. And if it burns, if the master builder dies before he has backed up his brain, the tradition does unjust suffer. It ends. 1,000 years of hard-won engineering knowledge, the secrets of the tholos, the physics of the spiral stair, the magic of the swelling wedge, it all vanishes. The next generation would be left standing in front of the half-finished tower, shrugging, before going back to living in mud huts. So, the master builder's real job, his primary job more important than building this tower, or that bastion, is to make himself redundant. His job is to create the next master builder. He cannot let the tradition die. This is the world of knowledge transfer without text. It is not a school. There is no Nuragic Institute of Technology. There is only apprenticeship. This is the mainstream historical fact. The only possible way this system could survive for a millennium. It is a Wanun Hansen, 20-year-long backup process, starting not with a student, but with a shadow. You see him, the master builder, the 50-year-old man with the mind palace, is walking the site, and trotting behind him is a 10-year-old boy, his nephew maybe, or his youngest son, or a promising sharp-eyed kid from the clan. For the first 5 years, this kid's job is ... nothing. He is a grunt, he carries water. He carries the master's very small bag of tools. He carries lunch, he is not taught, he is just ... there. He is learning by osmosis, which is a polite way of saying total immersion. He is learning the smell of the Scythiozoniandist smell of a hammerstone hitting basalt. He is learning the rhythm of the chanter. He is learning the feel of the sun on his back and the sound of a 10-ton block settling. He is learning, simply, to see. To see the way the master looks at a stone, the way he touches it. Then he's 15, he's strong, he is now promoted. He becomes a hand. He is given a hammerstone. He is put in a corner of the quarry. His job? Make a big rock into a slightly smaller, squarer rock for 5 years. He will peck tap 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 until his arm feels like it will fall off. The master will walk by once a day. He won't say anything. He'll just tap the block with his staff in one spot. Wrong, hit it here. The apprentice is building muscle memory. He is learning the language of the stone. He's learning that granite shatters and basalt bruises. He's learning, in his hands, how to read a grain, how to feel a fissure before it breaks. By 25, he's a master. He's the best hand on the site. But he is not the master builder. Now he is promoted to an eye. He is pulled from the quarry, from the ramp, from the wall. And his job, for the next 10 years, is to follow the master builder. He is his shadow. He stands right there as the master argues with the chief. He stands right there as the master lays out the knotted rope to plot the Tholos circle. The master starts to ... ask, "The bedrock here, is it good?" The apprentice has to put his hand on it, feel it, and answer, "No, master, it's soft, we go deeper." The master nods. The ramp, the angle, will it hold? The apprentice looks. He remembers the 50 sledges he watched collapse. No, master, too steep. It needs to be ... longer. This is the software transfer. It's not just the doing, it's the thinking. This is where the oral tradition, the quirky tidbit, comes in. The knowledge isn't just a set of instructions, it's a lore. It's passed down in stories, in rules off them, and in chants. Those chants aren't just for rhythm, they are counting, they are measuring. The master builder and his apprentice would also know the songs. The builder's songs, they wouldn't have a formula for the load-bearing angle of a tholos. They would have a verse, you can almost hear it, a low chant at the end of the day. The base, as wide as the hill, is high. The wall must lean to touch the sky, a hand within for every man, so shall your tower forever stand. That's not a poem, that is an equation. It is trigonometry and physics, compressed into a mnemonic, into a rule of thumb. A handwidth in for every man that is easy to remember, easy to teach, and impossible to get wrong. The oral tradition is the software, and the apprenticeship is the 20-year install process. This, of course, raises the open, scholarly debate. Was this knowledge transfer familial or professional? Historians still argue whether this was a guild or a dynasty. Was there an island-wide guild of master builders who initiated apprentices, had secret handshakes, and were hired by chiefs as independent contractors? This would explain the amazing consistency of the towers across the entire island. Or was the knowledge a family secret? Was it passed from Father Tisson and hoarded by the clan? Our asterisk master builder knows the secret of the spiral stair. There's ... Theirs is still using ladders. We are better than them. This would explain the rivalry, the keeping up with the Joneses, and the way complex innovations would cluster in one region. The master builder is 60. He's on his deathbed. His apprentice, now 40, a master in his own right, is sitting with him. The old man is weak, but his eyes are sharp. He whispers, "The new tower, the north bastion, the foundation." The 40-year-old says, "We found the bedrock. It's clean." The old man nods. He closes his eyes. The library is safe. The backup is complete. The 1,000-year-old tradition is now safe in a new pair of hands. And now, this new master builder, he has to start looking for his own 10-year-old shadow. The new master builder, the 40-year-old apprentice-turned-master, now holds the library of knowledge in his head. He's got the builder's songs, the secret equations of the Tholos. He's got the 20 years of learning by osmosis, the feel of the stone, the smell of the quarry. He's ready. He can build a tower. But as you watch him unroll his knotted rope to lay out the foundation of the new North Bastion, a new question hits you. Is that rope ... just his, or is it the rope? How is it possible that the 7,000 towers built over 1,000 years, across a 24,000 square kilometer island by hundreds of different master builders ... all look so ... consistent? This is the next layer of the mystery. It's not just the engineering that's consistent, it's the dimensions. You're standing in Nuragic in the south central plains. But if you were teleported to Nuragic Palmavera in the far northwest, you'd feel at home. The doorway would be that same familiar crouch and climb height. The central tholos would have that same familiar booming sense of proportion. The spiral staircases would be the same, familiar, just barely wide enough 4-foot width. How? Who probably never met, and who definitely never exchanged a written note. Both arrive at the exact same set of dimensions. This wasn't learning by osmosis. This wasn't feel. This ... This feels like a plan. This feels quantified. This is the mainstream historical fact, or at least the most compelling theory that explains the uniformity. You are looking at the evidence of a standardized unit of measurement. You are hunting for the nuragic foot. This is the software that the master builders didn't just learn, they shared. It's the only way this makes sense. There must have been a standard, a unit. We can call it the nur or the sardis or whatever you want. But it was a thing. It was a length. Maybe it was the length of a specific sacred bronze rod that was kept in the most important meeting hut. Maybe it was the length of a staff that the first master builder cut. And that unit hand, its simple multiples, was the secret handshake of the Builders Guild. It changes everything. The master builder's mind palace was unjust filled with feel and songs. It was filled with numbers. He wasn't just feeling the tholos, he was calculating it. The chief wants the royal model. Okay, that's a 10-unit base, which requires an 8-unit tholos chamber, and the walls must be 3 units thick. This is how you repeat a design. This is how you teach a design. This is how you scale a design. It's how you go from a single, bespoke, artisanal tower to 7,000 factory-stamped, but, stone models. This, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. If this unit existed, ... where is it? This is the frustrating part. Historians and archaeologists have been searching for the nuragic ruler for a century. We have never found it. We have never found a tomb with a man buried with his bronze, 1-unit-long yardstick. We have no inscriptions. We have ... nothing. So, how do you prove a ghost? You measure the effects of the ghost. In the 1970s, one group of scholars did exactly that. They went to dozens of nuraghe. They measured everything. They measured the width of the doors, the height of the tholoi, the diameter of the central chambers, the thickness of the walls. They took thousands of data points, thousands of these ghostly fingerprints, and they fed them all into a computer. They were looking for a common denominator. They were looking for the quantum, the one, single number or unit that all these other bigger numbers were a multiple of, and ... they found one. Or they think they did. The computer crunched the numbers and spat out a unit that seemed to be at the heart of all nuragic construction. This leads to the quirky tidbit, the counter theory. What if the standard wasn't a thing? What if it was a person? This is common in the ancient world. The standard is the human body. What is a foot? It's the length of a ... foot. What is a cubit? It's the length of a man's forearm, from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. This, by the way, is the royal Egyptian cubit, the exact one used to build the pyramids. What if the nuragic standard was ... the master builder? This makes all the builders' songs suddenly sound ... literal. A handwidth in for every man. ... double quotes. What if that wasn't a poem? What if it was a literal, technical instruction? The builder stands. He puts his hand on the stone. Tap, tap, tap. He's using his own body as the ruler. The doorway, it needs to be my asterisk height with a cubit to spare. This would explain the feel, the artisanal nature of it all, but it doesn't explain the island-wide uniformity. Is every master builder's cubit the same? Is everyone's foot the same? It would lead to drift. The towers in the north, built by the Big Thornos family, would all be 10% bigger than the towers in the south, built by the small Baris clan. But that's not what we see. We see consistency, so we are stuck. The truth, ... is probably both. There was probably an official sacred unit, the 23.5 centimeters one, held by the guild, that set the proportions. But the application of that unit, the pecking of the stone, that was done by hand, by eye, by feel. You're watching the new master builder. He unrolls his knotted rope. The knots are 23.5 centimeters apart. He lays it on the ground. He's plotting the 10-unit base. The software is secure. The math is sound. But a plan even, a mathematical, ghost of planis, not a tower. A plan doesn't move a 10-ton rock. You've got the mind, the master builder. You've got the plan, the nuragic foot. Now, you need the muscle. You need a lot of muscle. How in this world do you get it? The nuragic foot is laid out. The master builder holds the software, the 1,000-year-old tradition, in his head. But the plan is not a tower. The mind is not the muscle. You're standing at the chaotic, noisy, dust-filled construction site, and you're no longer looking at the architect. You're looking at the workforce, and it is vast. There are, at this one site, hundreds of people. You've got the 40-man pultum on the ramp, their bodies slick with sweat, chanting, ho, ha. You've got a dozen men at the quarry, their tap-tap, a constant, rhythmic, percussive backdrop. You've got the roller boys sprinting back and forth, you've got the masons, the setters, the lever crews, and you have an entire separate team of people, just cooking. How do you organize this? How do you mobilize thousands of laborers across the island? For centuries, this, you realize, is the real how. The engineering is brilliant, but the social engineering is the real miracle. The mainstream historical fact is that this was not a slave economy. You are not in Egypt. You are not in Rome. The pyramids were mostly built by a paid, fed, and professional or conscripted workforce. But this this is different. This is kinship. The social structure required to build the nuraghe was the nuragic civilization itself. You are looking at a tribal, hierarchical, clan-based society. The workforce is not hired, it is mobilized. It works like this. The chief, the man in the meeting hut, the sponsor of this whole 1,000-tune party receipt. He is the bank. But his currency isn't money. His currency is obligation and food. He can't put out a help-wanted ad. He has to call in his debts. Remember, this is a keeping up with the Joneses prestige risk. The chief who can build the biggest tower is the chief who can throw the biggest party. The construction of the tower is the party. It's a non-stop generational feast. In this pre-cash economy, food is the wage. You watch as a massive steaming cauldron of something. It smells like mutton and time is hauled to the pultum. They don't get paid in bronze, they get paid in calories. The chief, to get this tower built, has to prove he is rich enough to feed 200 people every single day for 30 years. He is literally converting his wealth, the sheep in his pastures, into prestige, the stone in his tower. This is a feudal or perhaps proto-feudal system of obligation. The chief, he is the sponsor. He provides the capital, the food, the cheese, the beer, and the vision, the glory of the clan. The master builder, he is the contractor, the only one with the technical skill. He and his guild of specialists, the quarriers. The setters are the professionals. They get the best food, the best cuts of meat, the laborers. This is everyone else. This is the muscle. It's his clan, the farmers and shepherds, working in their off-season after the harvest, before the planting. It's his allied clans, the ones who owe him a favor from that time he helped them. It's his sons-in-law, his cousins, his nephews. This brings us to the quirky tidbit, the archaeological proof of the feast. When archaeologists excavate the villages that huddle around these massive nuraghe, like the one you're in, Nuragic, they find two things in enormous quantities: animal bones and crappy pottery. They find piles of sheep, goat, and pig bones, many showing signs of being butchered in a mass production, canteen style. This isn't a family having a nice Sunday roast, this is an industrial-scale feeding operation. And the pottery? It's not the nice stuff. It's thick, crude, simple, undecorated, and mass-produced. It's the Bronze Age equivalent of a paper plate. They were churning out thousands of simple bowls and cups to feed the hundreds of workers who would eat, drink, and probably just toss them, creating the archaeological trash that proves the feast. The tower is the monument. The village is the canteen. This, of course, is the open scholarly debate. Was this voluntary, or was it coerced? Historians love to argue about this. Are we looking at a happy, communal team-building project? Is this an Amish barn raising, where everyone wants to pitch in for the glory of the clan and the protection of their families, and for the free food? Or ... Is this coercion? Is the chief a beloved leader, or a tyrant? Is the wage of food just the bare minimum to keep your forced labor alive? In a society of social obligation, the line is ... blurry. It's a come and pull my 10-ton rock, or you're out of the clan. And being out in the Bronze Age means you are ... dead. That's a nice little farm you have. It would be a shame if the clan forgot to protect it, so I'll see you on the ramp at dawn, won't I, Barris? The tower, you realize, is the ultimate team-building exercise. It's the physical 1002 process that holds this non-literate society together. It forces alliances. It reinforces the hierarchy. It drains the chief of his physical wealth, food, and converts it into permanent wealth stone. The social structure is the construction company. It's a brilliant, self-perpetuating machine. The machine works, the tower gets built. The chief is happy, the clan is fed and proud. But what was it like to actually live in this thing? You've seen the outside, you've seen the how. Now, you have to imagine the what. What is life like inside the stone? The social structure is the construction company. You've seen the feast, you've seen the paper plate pottery, you've seen the 200-man team-building exercise that is the workforce. The tower gets built, the chief is happy. The clan is fed, proud, and protected. But this at last brings you to the final question. What was it like to actually live in this thing? You've been treating it as a ruin, an architectural problem, but for 1,000 years, this wasn't a site. It was a home. You decide to go back inside one last time. You walk past the new master builder, who is already shouting at a pulteum. You go back to the original tower, the mark to keep. You climb up to that tiny, elevated fatal bottleneck doorway. You duck your head, and you step through. But you don't step into 1500 BCU, step into 1499 BCE. It's been in use for a year, and it is not the dark, cold, silent, booming, God voice acoustic chamber you visited earlier. The first thing that hits you is not the darkness, it's the smoke. It hits you like a wall. Your eyes immediately water, sting, and you start to cough. The air is thick, gray, and acrid. It smells of burning oak, animal fat, and ... is that ... mutton. Your eyes, streaming, adjust. The only light in the 30-footide circular Thalos chamber comes from two sources. A few flickering, sputtering electrosoic lamps, floating in pottery bowls of rendered animal fat. And the hearth, this is the mainstream historical fact of life inside a nuraghe. In the exact center of the stone floor, the bedrock, there is a large, stone-lined fire pit. It is the engine of the home. It is the television, the kitchen stove, and the central heating, all in one. A cauldron is bubbling over it. But you look up into that magnificent, spiraling, corbelled dome, and there is no chimney, there is no hole. The smoke has nowhere to go. It just ... rises. It billows up, hits the stone apex 30 feet above your head, and then, having nowhere else to go, it just ... sits. It cools. It gets heavy, and it sinks, filling the entire top half of the Thalos with a permanent, rolling grayocrid cloud. Every stone, every surface, every person in here is coated in a fine, greasy layer of soot. This is, by the way, the 21st-century archaeologists' proof of life, when they excavate a Thalos. The stones are often still stained black, a 500-year-old forensic trace of 1 million family dinners. You suddenly realize why the life expectancy might not be great. Died of old age was probably a euphemism for emphysema. The second thing you notice is the sound. It's not the booming, echoing God voice you heard before. It's muffled. It's dampened. The echo is gone. Why? Because the walls are not bare stone. You are in a home, not a bunker. The cold, hard basalt walls are covered. They are hung with heavy woven wool tapestries, dyed with saffron, berries, and minerals in the same chevron and triangle patterns you see on their pottery. They're hung with the hides of mouflon, the shaggy, thick pelts acting as insulation. And the floor, ... it's not cold stone. It's covered in dried reeds, fragrant herbs, to cut the ... matuna smokiness, and more animal skins. It's ... cozy. This is the central paradox. It is, by our standards, horrifying. It's dark, it's smoky, it's cramped. But by their standards, it is the single safest, warmest, most luxurious place in the entire world. Remember those 15-foot-thick walls? They are the ultimate thermal regulator. You are standing inside a 1,000-ton stone Yeti cooler. In the blazing 100-degree Sardinian summer, this Thalos is a cool, dark 70-degree sanctuary. In the cold, wet, howling winds of a Mediterranean winter, the fire is roaring. The wind is a distant whisper, it can't touch you in here. And the stone holds the heat. It is a womb. It is the safest, most bomb-proof, spear-proof place on the island. This brings us to the quirky tidbit, the furniture. What did they sit on? Where did they sleep? Archaeologists find evidence of stone benches built right into the walls. But the bronzetti figurines show people sitting on chairs, or, more accurately, three-legged stools. This was a wood culture too. The smoky, dark tholos would have had beautifully carved wooden benches, shelves for the pottery, the good pottery, not the paper plates, and wooden pegs in the walls. They would have had beds, not fluffy duvet beds, but raised wooden frames, layered with straw and woolen skin blankets. The chief, one imagines, had the best chair. The lozboy of the Bronze Age, probably a massive stool of olive wood with carved legs. Not exactly a throne, but a definite step up from sitting on a rock. And this, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. Who, exactly, lived in here? Historians still argue whether the entire clan, all 200 of them, lived in the tower, or if it was just the chief's immediate royal family. If you look up, you see the answer is probably both. You're on the ground floor. This is the Great Hall. This is the armory. Spears and round shields are stacked by the door. This is the granary, remember, the cheese. This is the communal space. But high above you, you see the dark, rectangular hole of the spiral staircase. That staircase leads to the second floor, the second tholos built on top of the one you're in. And that, almost certainly, was the penthouse. That's where the chief, his wife, and his children slept. Away from the smoke, which would ideally stay below them. Away from the noise, it was the private space. The ground floor was the public clan space, so the tower was a timeshare. By day, it was the clan's bank, town hall, and kitchen. By night, the ground floor was the barracks for the chief's personal warriors, and the second floor was the still smoky, still dark family home. You look at the chief's wife. She's dressed just like the bronzetto figurine, a wide pleated robe, an elaborate cloak. She's grinding barley in a stone quarren. Life in the stone, it wasn't a life of grandeur. It was a life of security. But as you're taking this all in, the smoke is really getting to you. You're starting to feel claustrophobic. You need some air. You need to see, what's outside. You're coughing, your eyes streaming. The smoke is too much. You almost fall as you scramble back out of the tiny, elevated doorway, tumbling back into the fresh, merely dusty air of the construction site. You take a deep, lung-clearing breath. Life inside the stone, is a challenge. It's secure, yes, but it's also a 500-year-old case of black lung. You need to see where the other 99% of the people lived. You're standing at the base of the massive fortress, the Nuragic Mark X model. And it is not, as you first thought, standing alone on a hill. It is an island. It is the castle keep in a sea of huts. You are now wandering the world outside the tower. This is the Villaggio Nuragico, the village, and it's not a few scattered shelters. It is a sprawling, chaotic, and densely packed suburb that huddles right up against the foundations of the Great Tower, clustering in its shadow as if for warmth, or, more likely, for protection. This is the mainstream historical fact, the great demographic realistic. The 7,000 towers are the glamour item, the headline. But this is where life happened. This is where 99% of the clantha shepherds, the farmers, the potters, the weavers, the laborers were born, lived, and died. The tower was the community's bank, its fort, its cathedral. But this was its home. You step off the construction ramp and into the village. The first thing you notice is the scale. The tower is vertical, built for giants and gods. The village is horizontal, built for people. It's a dense cluster of 50, 100, maybe 200 circular stone huts. They look like little mini versions of the tower beehive shept built of stone and circular. The circle is the primary architectural word in the Nuragic language. You duck into one. The doorway is low, but not fatal bottleneck low. You can almost stand up straight, and the inside, it's a single room special. It's a 10-foot wide tholos, a simple corbelled dome, just like the big one, but on a personal scale. It's a micro-tholos. In the center, of course, is a stone-lined hearth. The smoke is also here. There is no escaping the smoke. But the roof is lower, and there might be a small gap hole at the top. Or maybe the smoke just vents through the unmortared, breathable stone dome. It's still smoky, but it's less smoky. This is the domestic heart of the civilization. Against one wall, a woman is sitting on the floor. Using a loom, the stone loom weights are all that will survive for the archaeologists. She's weaving the thick, rough wool from the clan's flock. In the corner, another woman is kneeling, rocking back and forth, her hands gritty with flour, grinding barley in a concave stone quern. This is the real sound of the village. Not the ho-haya of the builders, but the rhythmic, abrasive shish-shish of stone grinding grain. This is the sound of daily life, the sound of dinner. This brings us to the quirky tidbit. The village layout. You step back outside the hut into the ... street. And street is a laughably generous word. There are no streets. There are no plazas. This is not a planned Roman town. This is an agglutinative village. That means the huts are just ... stuck together. They share walls. A new hut is built by just sticking it to the side of an old one. The result is a total maze. The streets are 2 foot wide, twisting, dark, narrow alleys between the curved stone walls of the huts. You feel like a rat in a labyrinth. And this, you realize, is not an accident. This is design. This is the second layer of defense. An enemy attacker breaches the antemural, the main outer wall of the fortress. He's now in the village. Where does he go? He doesn't know. He's trapped in a disorienting, claustrophobic stone hutmas with no lines of sight, no charge routes. And the villagers, the shepherds and farmers, who know this maze, they're on the roofs of the huts, they're in the dark alleys. With their pointy sticks and heavy rocks, the village itself is a weapon. It's a trap. This, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. What was the real relationship between the tower and the village? Historians still argue whether the village was protected by the tower or ruled from the tower. Is this a happy, symbiotic castle-and-town relationship? The chief in his smoky penthouse protects the people in their smoky microtholoi, and the people feed the chief. Or is the tower a garrison? Is it a 1,000-ton fist planted in the middle of the village? A constant, looming, 15-foot hickwald reminder of who is in charge. Is it there to protect the village from raiders, or to protect the chief's granary in the tower from ... his own people? The truth is probably, yes, it's both. It's the deal. The clan gets security. The chief gets power and cheese. You walk through the cramped, twisting alleys. You see the life here. The kids, the dogs, the chickens, the smell of the cooking fires, the sound of the grinding. It's a living, breathing community. But as you walk, you notice ... other buildings. Structures that are not huts. They are not the tower. There's that big, round meeting hut you saw earlier. And ... over there. There's a structure that seems to go down into the earth. You've seen the home. You've seen the fortress. Now, you're about to see their church. You're in the middle of this rat maze of a village, the sheshish of the grinding stones and the bleating of sheep filling the air. You've seen the fist the dark, paranoid, smoky tower. You've seen the brain the round, communal meeting hut, and now you're about to see the soul. You follow that instinct, walking past the out-tearing of huts, away from the fortress. You're drawn to a separate enclosure, a low stone wall that marks off a different kind of space. It's quieter here. The sounds of the village and the construction site fade. You are entering the temenos, the sacred precinct. Inside this precinct, there is no tower rising up. Instead, there is a hole going down. You are standing at the entrance to a Pezos crow, a sacred well. And this, you realize, is where the master builder truly showed off. This is where the Nuragic engineers took their tower building skills, ... and inverted them. The mainstream historical fact is the structure itself. It is a masterpiece, a piece of sacred geometry that is almost more impressive than the towers. It starts with a small, keyhole-shaped atrium at ground level, a stone-paved space for offerings. At the back of this space, a set of stairs escale begins. But it doesn't go up, it plunges down into the earth. You take the first step. The air is immediately cool and damp. You descend. The walls of the staircase are not the rustic brutefers blocks of the tower. Oh no, this is ashlar masonry. The stones are perfectly cut, smooth, almost mortar look, rectangular blocks of basalt. They are fitted together with no mortar and no gaps. It is the finest, most precise, high-spec stonework in their entire civilization. They saved their best work for the gods. You keep descending, deeper into the dark, cool, silent earth. The staircase ends, and you step out into a small subterranean chamber, and you look up. It's a thalos. It's the exact same corbelled beehive dome from the tower, but it is underground. It is a man-made, stone-lined, perfect womb inside the bedrock. And at the bottom, in the center, is a small, circular pool of water fed by the aquifer, the deep, living spring of the island. The water is perfectly still, perfectly clear. This is the god. In a dry Mediterranean island, water is not a resource, it is life, it is divinity. And they built a temple for it, a 10-ton subterranean inverted tower temple. This is the technology of the master builder, refined to a level of pure religious art. The skills are the same, the corbelling, the quarrying, the stone and stone physics, but it's the exact opposite of the tower. The tower is up, it's male, it's war, it's bragging. The well is down, it's female, it's peace, it's worship. It is the other essential half of their world. This brings us to the quirky tidbit, the detail that sends a shiver down your spine. This isn't just a well, it is a computer. At the Pazo di Santa Cristina, the most famous of these wells, the design is so precise, it's an astronomical observatory. At the winter solstice, the sun, at its lowest, shines perfectly down the 25-step staircase, its rays hitting the water. But that's the easy stuff. The real magic happens with the moon. The moon has a complex 18.6-year standstill cycle. Once every 18.6 years, at its major lunar standstill, the full moon reaches its highest possible point in the sky. And at that exact moment, it shines perfectly down the staircase and creates a perfect, brilliant reflection of itself in the center of the water. Let me say that again. They built a 3,000-year-old stone computer, underground, to catch a specific moonbeam that only happens once every 18.6 years. This is a level of patience and planning that redefines the entire civilization. This isn't a primitive shepherd culture. This is a culture of hyper-yeastic. The master builder wasn't just a foreman, he was a scientist. He was the man who could predict the heavens, who knew the calendar, and who held the keys to time, to the harvest, and to the gods. This, of course, is the open scholarly debate. What was this? Historians still argue whether these were just water temples for a water-moon cult, or were they healing centers, a Bronze Age lords where people came to be cured by the sacred water. Archaeologists find thousands of Bronze Eddy here warriors, women, shepherds tossed in as ex-votos, as offerings, as prayers in bronze. Or were they the secret observatories of this elite guild of master builders? The place where they maintained the knowledge and proved their power to the chief. And this isn't all. Their sacred engineering extended to death. You leave the well reluctantly. Elsewhere on the island, you'd find the Tambe dei Gigante, the giants' graves. These are not the graves of giants. They are communal tombs. Massive, 100-foot-long corbelled, stone-lined gallery tombs. Essentially, a corridor nuraghe for the dead. The entire clan, for a generation, would be buried together in this massive stone womb. And the entrance? It's a 15-futhi single, carved stone stele, shaped like the horns of a bull, the other great symbol of Bronze Age power. You're standing back in the village, it all clicks. The tower's war life, the well's religion time, the tomb's death. It's a single, unified, sacred engineering, a silent, non-literate, perfectly ordered world built on a triad of stone, by a class of master builders who were part architect, part priest, and part astronomer. It is a perfect, self-contained, 1,000-year-old system. And ... perfect, self-contained systems hate change. They are brittle, and change, you know, is coming. You look out, past the tower, past the coast. To the sea, you smell a new scent on the wind. It's not thyme, it's not mutton, it's salter, and ... cedar. That's the scent on the wind. It's not thyme, it's not mutton, it's not the ozoniandest of the quarry. It's cedar, the sharp, resinous, unfamiliar smell of the cedars of Lebanon. And it's mixed with the tar used to caulk the hull of a new kind of ship. You're standing on the coast near the mouth of the river by the Nuragic that guards the trading anchorage. The Nuragic people, you remember, are the Sardinians, the sea peoples. They are masters of the sea. But the ships you see coming over the horizon, they're not Nuragic. They are not the probably simple oared raider ships of the local clans. These ... these are fat. They are round ships. They are tubby. They are built not for speed raiding, but for capacity hauling. They are the Bronze Age equivalent of a 40-foot shipping container. And they are piloted by men in bright lighted tunics, men with long dark curled beards, men who are not, at all ... intimidated by the 1,000 towers staring at them from the cliff. You are witnessing the Phoenician disruption. This is the mainstream historical fact of the end of the Nuragic age. Around 900 BCE, after 1,000 years of tower building, these new arrivals appear. They are from the great cities of Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos in modern-day Lebanon. And they are not warriors, not primarily, they are merchants. They are the greatest, most obsessive, most brilliant traders the world has ever seen. And they are not here to conquer you. They are here to sell you things. You watch as the Nuragic chief, the one from the Mark X fortress, the Su Nuraxi, comes down from his tower. He is flanked by his personal bodyguard, all armed with round shields and horned helmets, just like the Bronzetti. He is a warrior, he is power, he is the man who can build a mountain. The Phoenician captain steps ashore. He has ... no weapons. He is holding a tablet, a clay tablet, and a stylus. And he is writing. This is the Great Disruption. The Phoenicians are literate. They are the people who invented the alphabet, the one that, after the Greeks and Romans modified it, you are using to read this. They are a culture of receipts, of contracts, of ledgers. The Nuragic chief says, "This is my valley. I am the strongest. I built the tower. I am the god Chesson." The Phoenician captain nods, smiles, and writes this down. And then he says, "Wonderful. Truly impressive. Now, would you like to see this glass? It's from my home. You can see through it. And this wine? It's from a special grape. It makes your head feel ... fantastic. And how about this ... purple dye? It's made from a snail. It costs more than, well, you wouldn't believe what it costs. And I will trade you all of it for those dull, heavy, boring ingots of copper and lead you have just lying around." This is the moment the Nuragic world ends. It's not a war. It is a paradigm shift. For 1,000 years, the Nuragic prestige economy was a closed loop. Prestige equals power. How did you get power? By controlling the food, sheep, grain. How did you show your power? By converting that food wealth into permanent prestige, ... by building a tower. It was a system based on feasting and labor. The Phoenicians just broke that loop. They introduced a shortcut. Why would you, a young, ambitious Nuragic chief, spend 30 years, and all your clan's food surplus, ... to build a 1,000-ton party receipt, when you can get instant prestige, right now, by trading your copper for a shipload of exotic, purple-dyed, glass and wine luxury goods? The Phoenicians just hacked the Nuragic economy. They made the tower ... obsolete. This brings us to the quirky tidbit. It wasn't a replacement. It was a hybridization. The Nuragic people didn't just abandon their towers overnight. Instead, ... they just ... stopped building new ones. The last, greatest, most complex nuraghe, like Su Nuraxi or Arubu, are finished ... and that's it. The builders' songs fall silent. The Master Builders Guild finds they are suddenly ... unemployed. The 1,000-year-old obsession ... just ... fades. And what happens in the old towers? We find Phoenician goods. The chief, in his smoky penthouse, loved his new Phoenician wine, which he drank from a Phoenician cup. We find Phoenician glass in the sacred wells. The Nuragic people were taking these new high-tech luxury goods and using them as offerings to their old Stone Age gods. It's a hybrid culture. They didn't stop being Nuragic. They just became Nuragic people ... with cooler stuff. This, of course, is the open scholarly debate. Was this an integration or a colonization? Historians still argue about the nature of this first contact. The Phoenicians set up ports, Tharos, Solsis, Nora. Were these colonial outposts, armed enclaves, or were they joint ventures? Were they trading posts, set up with a full permission and partnership of the local Nuragic chiefs who were getting rich off the deal? The evidence ... is blurry. We find Nuragic pottery in Phoenician tombs. We find Phoenician glass in Nuragic wells. It looks ... messy. It looks ... human. It looks like a long period of trade, coexistence, intermarriage, and cultural blending. But the Phoenicians had the writing, and they had the ships, and they had the network. And in the end, the culture with the better logistics ... wins. The Nuragic chief is still in his tower, but he's an artifact. He's old money, the new power, the new wealth, the new excitement. It's down at the port. It's in the Phoenician trading post, which is slowly, generation by generation, becoming a city with streets and plumbing, and written laws, and a future. You look back at the 1,000-ton tower. It's still there, it's still massive, but it's starting to look a little old-fashioned, a little silent. You look back at that 1,000-ton tower, it's still there, it's still massive, but it's starting to look a little old-fashioned, a little ... silent. The Phoenician traders have set up on the coast, they've built their ports, and for a few hundred years, this hybrid Punic Nuragic culture thrives. The chiefs in their towers get rich, trading their metal for the high-tech luxury stuff of the outside world. They are still in charge, but they are no longer the only game in town. The software of the master builder, it's gone. No one has built a new tower in 300 years. The 1,000 years tradition, the builder's songs, the Nuragic foot, it's all just ... evaporated. The apprenticeship chain was broken, the library burned, and then ... they arrive. Around 238 BCE, a new set of ships lands. They are not the tubby merchant ships of the Phoenicians. They are not the fast raider ships of the old Nuragic sea peoples. They are warships, they are quincbiremes, and they land not with merchants, but with legions. You are witnessing the Roman occupation. This is the mainstream historical fact, the final, crushing industrial-scale disruption. The Romans are not here to trade, they are not here to hybridize, they are here to conquer. They are here to annex, they are here to pave, and they are here, most of all, for grain. The Romans, in their endless, bureaucratic, and brutal efficiency, look at Sardinia and see one thing, a breadbasket. They don't care about the metal mines in the highlands. That's small time. They want the plains, the fertile lowlands of the Campidano. They seize the now Carthaginian Punic coastal cities, the Rhos, Nora Solsis. They rename them, they Romanize them. They build aqueducts, temples, amphitheaters, and most importantly, roads, straight roads. Roads that cut right through the old, sacred Nuragic landscape, connecting their new grain ports to their new grain fields. And the towers, the 7,000 stone centados. What did the Romans do with them? The answer, ... is the quirky tidbit. They ignore them. They see them as ... barbaric. They see them as primitive, as the weird, lumpy, crude stone hives of the natives who came before. To a Roman engineer, obsessed with arches, concrete, marble, and right angles, the nuraghe is an insult. It is ugly. It is circular. It is old. They're new, straight roads. They run right past the towers as if they're not even there. Sometimes, they even plow over the ruins of the Nuragic villages to create the perfect, flat, gridded fields for their wheat. The contempt is staggering. What happens to the towers themselves? They are reused, but not in the way you'd think. A few, in key strategic locations, are Romanized and used as lookout posts, vigilarium. The Romans, grudgingly, had to admit they were in really good spots. But most, they are desecrated, or, more accurately, they are just ... recycled. The Romans needed stone for their roads, for their new villas, and what to them is a nuraghe. It's a 1,000-ton pre-cut free quarry. They cannibalize them. They pull the stones down, the same 10-ton blocks that took a 40-man Hohaye team a week to move, and they smash them into rubble for their concrete foundations. And the sacred wells, the Pazzi Sacri, the subterranean, astronomical wombs, we have found them, filled by the Romans. Deliberately filled with rubble, with trash, with broken Nuragic offerings, and then sealed. And in one famous case at Santa Cristina the Moon, well, they filled it, and then built their own tiny Roman-style shrine, ... right on top of it. It is the ultimate act of conquest. It's, my God is better than your God, and my God stands on your God. This, of course, raises the open scholarly debate. Did Nuragic culture die, or did it just ... run? The Romans conquered the plains, they conquered the coast, but the highlands ... the Barbagia ... the granite fortress spine of the island, where the maquis is thickest and the shepherds are the toughest. The Romans never conquered the Barbagia. They called it Barbaria, the land of the barbarians, the source of the modern name Barbagia. The people who lived there, the descendants of the Nuragic clans who retreated from the Roman grain field. The Romans called them latrones, bandits, thieves. because they would sweep down from their mountain fortresses the old crumbling nuraghe, steal the Roman grain, steal the Roman sheep, and then vanish back into the nuraghe, where the legions refused to follow. Historians still argue is the shepherd bandit culture of the Barbagia, which resisted everyone, Romans, Vandals, Byzantines, Aragonese, for the next 2,000 years, a direct, unbroken cultural echo of the original. Warrior shepherd tower building Nuragic clans. The towers fell silent. The builders were gone. The language was lost. But did the soul of it, the fierce independence, the clannish loyalty, the US versus the world mentality, the pastoral heart, did that survive? You're standing on the Roman road. It's paved, it's straight, it's efficient. In the distance, in the field, a 1,000-ton nuraghe is ... sinking. Its tholos has collapsed. Its walls are being pulled down for rubble. It's not a fortress anymore. It's not a home. It's not even a quarry. It's just ... a ruin. It's a thing, a pile of rocks that the Roman farmers have to plow around. Its purpose is forgotten. Its builders are a myth. It is, for the first time in 2,000 years, completely and utterly silent. It is silent. You're standing on that paved Roman road, and the 1,000 tawa, the nuraghe, is just a ruin. Its purpose is forgotten. Its builders are a myth. It is, for the first time in 2,000 years, completely and utterly silent. And for the next 2,000 years, that is what it remains. The Roman Empire falls, the Vandals come, the Byzantines come, the Aragonese, the Spanish, the Pisans. They all come. They all conquer Sardinia. They all fight over this island. And all the while, the 7,000 towers just sit. They are the silent audience to everyone else's history. They are used by medieval shepherds as sheep inns. They are used by banditti as hideouts. They are incorporated into the walls of tiny stone medieval churches. But they are forgotten. Their meaning is gone. They are just. They are a geological feature, a lumpy, inconvenient, and according to local legend, haunted part of the landscape. You feel the wind on your face. It's the same wind from the plateau. You smell the same scent of wild rosemary and thyme and that eternal coruscanted elycrisa, but something is different. The zzzzzzzzz of the insects is still there, but it's joined by a new sound, a distant sound, the low rubbery hum of a car on a paved road far down in the valley. You are no longer in 1500 BCU, are not in 238 BCU, are in the present day. You've time-traveled back, you're a tourist, you're standing at the base of Nuragic again. But it's not a construction site. It's not a smoky home. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There is a rope barrier, there is a small, tasteful wooden sign. There is a man over there checking his phone. You reach out, past the rope you're not supposed to, and you touch the stone. The same dark, pockmarked basalt block that you watched a 40-man pole team haul up a ramp. It is warm. The 500-year-old sun is warming the 3,500-year-old stone. And in this moment, in the present day, you are here to feel the modern echo. This is the mainstream historical fact, the rediscovery. For almost 2 millennia, no one cared. Then, in the 19th century, in the age of Romanticism and nationalism, the first modern Sardinians, scholars like Giovanni Spano, looked at these piles of rocks and asked the question, for the first time in 2,000 years, who built these? They started digging, they started counting. They realized this wasn't geology, this was a civilization. They were the ones who gave them their name. We call them the Nuragic civilization, from the word nuraghe, a name we invented for a people who were just gone. This is the enduring power. Why are you here? Why are the other tourists here? Why are we spending an hour or a lifetime talking about them? It's the silence. They are the ultimate ancient mystery. They are the anti-Egypt. Egypt shouted. They carved their name on everything. The Nuragic people whispered, and they only whispered in stone. We are addicted to their mystery. We have to know. They are a 7,000-piece puzzle, and we have lost the box. This brings us to the quirky tidbit. The nuraghe are everywhere in modern Sardinia. The identity of this modern, to 1st-century Europeanized Landrian is built literally on these foundations. The nuraghe is the logo. It's the unofficial brand. You will find Hotel Nuraghe, Pizzeria su Nuragic, Pecorino Nuragico. The Bronzetto warrior is on T. The shadow of the tower is in many ways louder today than it has been in 3,000 years. The Sardinian people, the Sardi, see themselves as the direct descendants. They are the children of the stone. They are the heirs to that fierce, clannish, pastoral Usvasaromans independence. And this leads to the final and most profound open scholarly debate. Will we ever know who they were? We have their bones. The new science of archaeogenetics has sequenced the DNA from the giants' graves. And the answer is, they are Sardinian. The Nuragic people were not invaders. They were the same people who had been on that island since the Neolithic. They were a unique, isolated, pre-Indo-European genetic cluster, and that same DNA cluster is the dominant one in the modern Sardinians, especially in the highlands of the Barbagia. The echo is not just cultural, it is biological, but we still do not know their name. We do not know their language. We have that one tiny, tantalizing, infuriating tavoletta di Cesare. A few scratches on a clay tablet. Is it writing? Is it a hoax? No one can read it. Will we ever? Or is this it? Is the mystery the point? Is their silence permanent? You stand there on the windy plateau. The sun is low. The shadows are long. That first single sentinel tower you saw, it's a silhouette now. You've been on a 3,500-year journey. You saw the why defense, status, granary, god. You saw the how, quarrying, hauling, ramps, tholos, master builder. You saw the rise and the fall. You understand now how a civilization without a single word of writing could build 7,000 stone towers. They did it with memory, with ritual, with songs, with social obligation, with feasts, and with an unbroken, 1,000-year-old chain of trust, passing that silent, sacred, stone equation from one mind to the next. The tower is still watching you. It is their book. It is their word, and it has told you everything it can. The rest is silence. And so, our long, long night together comes to a close. You've walked the 500-year-old road. You've felt the grit of the hammerstone. You've smelled the acrid smoke of the tholos. And you've stood in the silence of the sacred well. The 7,000 towers of Sardinia are no longer just piles of rocks. They are the 7,000 silent, patient, stone words of a book. Written by a civilization that chose to build its story rather than write it, they are a reminder that civilization doesn't just mean writing and cities. It can also mean silence and stone. And a memory so strong it can hold a 1,000-ton mountain in its head, and a tradition so powerful it can last for a millennium. The wind you hear on that Sardinian plateau is just the wind. Now the Elicruso smells just like curry, and the tower. The tower is just a tower again, a beautiful, sleeping stone giant. Its watch long since over, you can let the mystery rest. You have seen the how and the who. They are resting too. They are sleeping in their giants' graves. And their work, their effort, their boast, it is still here for us. A 500-year-old echo speaking in a language of pure, undeniable human will. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your trust. I hope this journey was a soft and a safe one for you. And I hope now you can find your own well-deserved rest.